The Keshe Foundation, an independent, non-profit, non-religious, space-based organization founded by nuclear engineer Mehran Tavakoli Keshe, is introducing to humanity the science of the universe, plasma science. Keshe Foundation develops universal knowledge and space technologies that provide solutions to major global problems, revolutionizing agriculture, health, energy, transportation, materials, and more. The application of plasma science in the form of specially developed plasma reactors and other devices will give humanity the real freedom to travel in deep space. Plasma science exists throughout the whole universe. It is here and it belongs to you. Our knowledge, research, and development regarding the plasma structure has progressed to the point of enabling everyone to participate in the process. Become a creator and understand the work of the universe for the good of humankind on this planet as well as in space. The use of megravs, nanomaterials, GANs, liquid plasma, field plasma, and other plasma technologies have come as a new dawn for humanity to progress and work in harmony with the universe. Conventional technology applications are wasteful, damaging, and cause pollution to the planet and all living beings. Plasma science provides solutions and improves existing methods and use of resources in all aspects that touch the lives of all beings. Plasma is defined by the Foundation as an entire content of fields which accumulate and create matter and is not defined by its physical characteristics like ionization or temperature. Also, with plasma science, we understand how we can convert matter back to the fields. Quoting from Mr. Keshe, MEGRAV stands for magnetic gravitational, which means plasma absorbs or gives. And every plasma has the both. It has give and it has take. And when they can't find the balance, they distance themselves until they find the balance they can give to the others, that they can receive what they want to receive and give further. Certain atoms and molecules release and absorb magnetic or gravitational fields. Released fields are available to be absorbed by other objects. The Keshe Foundation has developed a way to gather these free-flowing fields from the environment within a resourceful and beneficial new state of transitional matter, which M.T. Keshe named GANs. The first step of the process of the formation of various basic types of GANs is nano-coating metals. This is carried out either chemically by etching, steam coating with sodium hydroxide, or thermally by heating, fire coating by gas burner. During either coating process, gaps between outermost layers of atoms are created. The residual coating is often referred to as nano-coating, defined by the structured layers of nanomaterial, which build up during the creation process of the coating. Nano-coated metal in interaction with other various metal plates in a saltwater solution creates megrav fields. These fields then attract available elements to form a specific GANs, which collects and settles at the bottom of the container. This GANs is formed from independent energized molecules like little suns that can be used in various applications.
The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and speciality to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process.
Welcome everyone to the 172nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Once again, we'll be with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I understand that with all the changes in world politics going on and other changes in the world, that Mr. Keshe will be having many interviews in the next days and weeks, and also has some new information on the Ghana situation with the Keshe Foundation and so on. So let's carry on into the workshop. I think Mr. Keshe is there. Are you not, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, good morning. Good day to you as usual, wherever you are and whenever you listen to this series of workshops. Thank you very much, Rick, and the whole of the Keshe Foundation in the background supporting these teachings. As you remember, last time we gave the floor to the team of Universal Council to join us and to explain their position. Maybe it's good to start with one of the members of the Universal Council who are present, to maybe tell us about what is their wish today for humanity. That we as a whole can support their mission in trying to achieve collectively the world peace. Do you see any members of the Universal Council on present?
Lisa.
That you can promote? Pardon?
Lisa is promoted.
Lisa is the Universal Council or from the Earth Council?
True.
I'm here. I'm from the Universal Council. This is Gatua. Good morning, Mr. Kesh.
Good morning, Mr. Gatua. Could you, if you don't mind, be the speaker of which language you represent in the council and what is the wish of the council?
I'm representing the Gikuyu language of Kenya, and the wish of the council is end of kinship.
Your wish.
My wish is end of kinship.
Can you start again, please?
Say that again, please.
Can you start from the beginning, please?
Yes. My name is Latwawa Bugwa. I represent the Gikuyu language of Kenya, and my wish is end of kinship. Thank you very much.
Can you explain to us what you see as your position as a member of the Universal Council, please?
My position is to join with others, and whatever I receive, I'll give together with other members of the council. Then we become one, and through our souls, we wish for whatever we want to wish, and our wishes will be our command. Is that enough, Mr. Kesh, or did you want me to explain any other thing?
Explain. This is your floor. It's for you to explain to us as humans what is and why do we have to support you, and what do you see as a reason we support you.
The main reason
for
is
participation of not our votes but our souls. You have to be more clear to us.
Yes, the world has had wars which are unnecessary, and the wish of the Universal Council and my wish in that respect is for peace globally, global peace and universal peace. So that's how I would explain my position as part of that council that wishes to bring about global peace. And as a first step, this would require the end of kingship, because with kingship, that's why we have all these wars that are completely unnecessary, and they must come to an end. So my wish is end of kingship, so that we may know peace, the globe may know peace, and will not be killing anymore. The world has seen too much killings, and it has to come to an end. That is my wish. Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, for giving me the opportunity to express my wish as a member of the Universal Council. Thank you.
Very much. We have on our panel another arm of what are called executives of the Keshe Foundation, of the Universal Council. We know Lisa, Her Excellency, the member of the Earth Council, is in the background. We have never had them to bring their wishes and their way of conduct to us. If Your Excellencies are in the background, you would like to speak, to address us as one of the members of the Earth Councils, you are the ones who handle the affairs of this planet. In the coming time, your positions will be sacrosanct. Can you, if you like, to join us and explain from your point of view what you wish as the earthly leader?
Mr. Kesh, yes, the Earth Council are going to be helping the people of the planet to come to that realization that we need to all work together to help them to do that cohesively and to bring everybody's souls into alignment to the point where we know we can have a better world. And so through different areas like education and technology and various other aspects that we can help with at the Earth Council, bringing into consideration all the continents and what their needs might be, we hope that we can try and bring about a plan that everyone can work towards, and a way that we can all cohesively just come together to see our needs fulfilled. And our needs are very, very big in terms of having that world peace and allowing us to be abundant so that our needs are taken care of, so that we don't need to fight and have all these terrible things come between us. So I'm hoping that we can all join together, and as all different continents and languages work together to that aim. Because if we cannot create peace on this planet, we will never go and join with our universal family. So this is our aim and our goal, and we're taking our first steps at the moment by helping those that we can. And we hope everybody will join us and do the same.
Would you like to tell us which continent you represent and the background? Maybe a lot of our listeners never know. They were not here when you accepted the responsibility of the Earth Council.
I'm representing Australia. I live in Australia at the moment. I've been here for 8 years now. I originally was born in South Africa. And so I've seen a lot of things in the world. I've seen absolute beauty, and I've seen great poverty, and I've seen how people can be filled with hatred towards others for no good reason. And I understand that this has all got to end, because it serves no purpose and our souls are not aligned with that. So I was very happy to accept the position, because I feel that we can have an opportunity here of aligning all of us together, because I've had to, over my life, do this many times. I've come from a background of diverse religion, diverse culture, and despite it all, there's always been love. So I know we can all achieve this.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Do we have any other members of the Universal Council or Earth Council who would like to speak on their wishes and their motion and their mission?
Hello, Mr. Kesh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Mosfik Rashid. I am in the Universal Council. I represent Bengali language, and currently I reside in Bangladesh. you want me to go into a little more?
No, to explain what is your wish and what you would expect us, and what do we have? Why do we have to? Or how should we trust our souls in your hands that we achieve what not has been achieved up to now?
As an individual member, we are not the council. Together, we represent the soul of the whole council. And together, we represent the aspiration of humanity towards peace, and in peace, reaching the friends who also want peace but lives elsewhere other than the planet Earth. So in order to achieve that, we bring the collective wishes of these various groups of human beings and others on this planet, so that we achieve peace and avoid the pitfalls that we have fallen in so far. And in doing so, one of the wishes that we as a council would like to suggest is the end of kingship, which has prevented peace for thousands of years here. And this wishes, and not just wish in the sense that they won't happen, but it will be what will transpire, because all of us want it, and we engage our soul strength to bring it into operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the council would like to speak? We invite different members of the councils to speak and to allow us to understand, as they bring different, what I call inspirations to change the course of humanity to one direction. That's equality of a race, language, religion. And being part of the work of the both councils is not just for the peace for a human being. The environmental, the situation with all the animals on the sea, in the seas, and on the land, is the responsibility of the council too. Everything done has to consider the totality of the lives on this planet. We see changes, and in course and in time we can change the course. As I said, we are making the ground for the change. We are making the ground ready for the totality as a change. That, as we said, we don't need world governments to support. We support the world governments to do what we are. As I used to say in my business life, it's us businessmen who makes the politicians, and not the politicians who make the businessmen. When you make business, when you become industrialist, and through your effort of contributing to the life of the others, be it the manufacturer, be it whatever, you get a say in who you want to support to represent you in the world of politics. They call it political lobbying. The biggest lobbyists are the richest. Dinners in private homes, agreements, I give you your support, what you need, I finance you in the background. You take this across for me the way what I want on the floor of the parliament or the rest. or in the cabinet. This time, the way we are structuring the whole of the Keshe Foundation is we, as one race, finance, and we structure through the finance of our factories and the rest in what we want the politicians of local governments and the others to follow the path of peace. Our support as a foundation becomes the wish and the support of industrialists, but internationally industrialists, not only to one nation. As I've been in this position before in my life, I know how to set it up, and we are setting it up. In the coming days, Keshe Foundation, starting from tomorrow, will go through a full campaign, not only nationally, but internationally. You will hear about it. It involves world leaders. And in the following week, a series of interviews internationally has set up that we bring an end to the past by putting the past in front of the world leaders and giving an alternative future. As you will see on the screen, one of the interviews which is important for us, why I have chosen this as one of the first ones to give, you will understand in the coming time, or if you listen last week to the teachings, you will understand. Would you like to put that banner up, please, Flint? The Keshe Foundation has changed its course in a way that we will start explaining to the world in what we stand for, how we stand for, and how we have started influencing in different ways and different means. We take the politic of the politicians in the world of the politics through the way we know. We go back on the way to bring the truth in about how we see it, how we want it, and how we are prepared to change it. Medias, televisions, radio stations, newspapers, internet medias have already been lined up, starting from tomorrow. We are not going on offensive. We are going out to make sure humanity knows there is another way. There is another way to show that the knowledge of the man has to be the tool of his progress in every aspect. We don't bring politics in, we bring a political channel. In the coming weeks, Keshe Foundation will move in its to what we call economical channel. We open a channel totally away from the private teaching in how we will bring economical changes and what we expect from others to do. Which means we start becoming industrialists on the strength of the foundation. We promised this a couple of years ago in Italy. Now we use the internet systems to release and bring the reality, be it abuse of people, be it abuse of politics, be it abuse of finances, abuse of environment. The new, what we call Keshe Foundation News Channel will come into operation very shortly. These are teachings. And what we have learned from the past is the two arms of the Keshe Foundation has to change. Last week, we made the two parts separate. In a coming week or two, we'll establish Keshe Foundation News section, which means it'll be manned 24 hours a day for any news which has got to do with us. We start with the small sessions on the world media in a different way. And then we break into different channels. We will do it, we'll have to do it, and the structure of it will come in one direction. Whatever we put out has to be 100% correct, and whatever we put out has to have one direction. The ultimate goal of it is to achieve world peace. We are looking for those who are expert in interviewing. We are looking for those who can interview on Keshe Foundation channels, the politicians, the economists, the man on the street, in the factories, and what we see. The Keshe Foundation television channel, what we call on the internet, will carry one thing: peace, and in how to achieve it. Then we take the politics out of the teaching part. The interviews which we give and is set up in so many ways will be the beginning of the separation of Keshe Foundation knowledge from its interaction with the world leaders and politicians, and how we dictate our position. If you are in the broadcasting, if you like to hear and have time on this channel, which will be manned slowly to the full 24 hours in different languages, please contact Webmaster at Keshe Foundation. We look, we allow you, even if you run your own simple channels or internet chat shows, if your target is our target, we allow you to share. We have to do this because, as I said, as an international organization, our members have to have a voice. Not only on Thursdays, but on a regular basis. Keshe Foundation network system will start very, very slow. Most probably on the repeat and the request, and then we build it up. You have documentaries, you have a point of view, you want to discuss something. As long as wrong language is not used, we give you the platform. As long as you don't promote certain organizations in a different way that they, or offend them in different way, we let you to speak. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 1 hour. If having a chat show in a way, direction of world peace has been your wish, we give you the platform. We become international organizations and our voice has to be heard directly. In the interviews which is to come up, you will see what is to be discussed, the way it's got to be discussed, and the way the works we've done in the background has made again the world leaders to respond. You will understand when we explain. We had the ear of Obama, now we have made Trump to move. You will understand in the interviews which come next week, and you will understand how we're going to interact. We interact to support those who are true men of peace, and they don't use the media to look as they are, but underneath they promote war. What we call Keshe Foundation Peace Channel will give a ground to every man on this planet, irrespective of position, color, race and religion. As we see in the coming weeks, world leaders' peace trips start. But you have to see the intermediaries and why and how. Some of it will look as is for peace, but in fact is closure of the kingships. In interviews coming up next week, we explain more and more. The move of unification comes out of fear of position loss. And what has been lost? Do we have anything from the educational team if you want to discuss anything? I've received a note from the team of transcribers. There is some 30+ transcribers on the Keshe Foundation team, all volunteers. We need more transcribers. As the education increases and the members and meetings of different councils increases, transcribers to transcribe in different languages are needed. We have some 20+ members of the Universal Council, and we need to be able to translate the wishes of the Council and their meetings to every language, that no race or language is left behind. If you are a speaker of a specific language and you want to be part of the transcribing group, please contact the webmasters and join them. Then you will put the right emails and who you have to talk to. This is part of the growing structure and making the solid foundation for it. There is a team of volunteers we need for development of the new websites and everything else. As has been said, we will grow, and we are growing very rapidly. The first steps of building of the Spaceship Center has taken place. The funds has been paid for the work, the preliminary work and subsequent work to start. We thank our generous donor in supporting the building. We still need huge amount of funds for systems, electronic systems, all sorts of things which is needed in research center, in what we call the clinic, and in the support teams. The problem starts, or the action starts, when by September the Space Center building hopefully will be completed, and we need to have all the facilities inside that we can utilize it immediately. Not an empty building, but a building where we can play the part to be able to support international works of the Keshe Foundation. Slowly we open the books that you understand more. That what we need huge amount of machinery, we need huge amount of computer support. We need international support for what we call transfer of technology across all the Keshe Foundations. We need to be able to finance the latest systems that allow us to detect, to create, and be able to force the position of disarmament. Our goal from now on is not to create war, but to disarm through the heart of the man. There shall be no spy. There will be nothing to accuse of. If you are the true man of peace, we walk through the soul of the man. And we create the facilities that the man can see there is hope for the change. We can do everything, but if we don't carry members, we become what I call the Iranian Revolution. For those of you who never understood, let me explain. I have given many lectures on this, how the Iranian Revolution in 1980s happened. It was like a war as we see it today, but different way. It was created in the emotional heart of the man. You have to go back to the history of Iran. Iran was highly intellectual, but by word of mouth, not by reading and writing. And this was used by men of religion to control the human beings. As they could not read, they believed whatever they were told by the priests. And they became fanatic because of it, because it was said in Quran. And none of it was ever in Quran except in the heart, dark heart of the man who was talking it. The father of the late Shah decided the time of illiteracy is over. I educate the man. I educate the nation. It took time. He managed to recruit and educate 1 or 2%. But then the 1 or 2% became elite. The late Shah of Iran started educating the masses. And it was very simple, as I've said before. He said, we don't fight, we have no wars. We use our soldiers according to their education to teach, to build, and to look after the health of the nation. So he made the educated ones at different levels of education at the age of 18, 20, to spend very few weeks in the army to learn how to shoot a gun. And then he gave them the gun of knowledge to fight illiteracy, to teach. And this became the backbone of the problem for Iran. A nation of 80% illiterate became a nation of 95% literate. So the man of God pretend could not say it's in Quran because now the people could read. Then it came the difference in the financial affairs, which meant those people who started with the first Shah, now they came in a position of power. They were educated and now they had the wealth and people wanted their wealth. So the man of religion saw a cut, used the wealth to say there is more they don't give us. And it became the cause of the revolution of Iran. So in fact, 5% of educated were carrying 95% of uneducated because they were not aware of the education. They were not aware of the truth. And that's how we've seen so much bloodshed. And strange enough, hardly any of the bullets came from the gun of Iranians. They all came out of the gun of Palestinians who were sent to Iran to create mayhem. The job of the Keshe Foundation supporters and this work we do is to enlighten and elevate the soul of the man, that the education of the book is becoming relevant. They have to see the inspiration of peace, not in themselves, in the environment, but within the culture of the man. The work of the Keshe Foundation is to incite, promote, and become the terrorist of peace. We don't terrorize to peace. We bring the terror to the heart of those who talk about the war. Let it be their internal war. Let them judge themselves. Let them judge themselves when they go to bed in their souls. What did I do today? I made a gun. I was part of making a gun. What man would this gun kill? I'm responsible for the soul of it. I have to pay from mine. Do I want to eat, as I've said in my talks before, the bread of the blood? Our job is to make the man to question his soul, not to make the man to have the fear of his conduct. We've got to bring man to become peace with himself, and with it, will bring peace to the others. Many of you have seen the fear tactic used. Edison was the best of it. He wanted to destroy Tesla. He made the electrical chair. We've seen in the recent past, when the computers came and then automation came, the fear that these things will take all the jobs and blah blah. And we see now The world runs on computers and we can't find enough experts to run what we need to do. At the beginning, those of you who promote peace through technology will be banned and stopped. I have taken most of it. Now we change the course. It's in your hand. It's in the hand of humanity to change the course by not talking about peace, but using the tools we bring you in science, in technology, in farming, to incite peace. This is our job. This is the Keshe Foundation from now on. I do my best that within the next week we start the news channels and we put out not allegations but confirmed news in what we have, in what world leaders do wrong and what is the intention behind the move. One thing we do different than the other news and the work we have to do, we pray for their souls, that they understand what is wrong, what is getting them wrong. I've done this before, and you've seen when I get angry with it, it's because I don't see man seeing why we are this far. You remember we sent the world peace message to President Obama. One of our friends in Washington took the message in hand and gave it to the White House, one of our dearest Persian supporters. The man who asked for the key, now he had to answer for the response of the peace. We saw what he responded, justifying. They start the letter with Dear Mehran, and he finished it, Barack Obama. But between my name and his name was nothing but blood. Justification why he has to do. We hope the coming president will write to mankind, sign Trump, and in between the two will be peace. The true peace, not the elements of war to pretend to be peace. As I said in very recent talks, we support the surface walk which Donald Trump has taken. By going to Islamic nation, then flying to Jerusalem, and then flying to Vatican to bring the world religions as one. But at the same time, we expose the background to it. That we see the truth, and knowing that the humanity knows the truth, the path will be kept. You got to understand, no president of the United States has ever been rejected more than Trump. He has to prove he's needed, he's wanted, he's a man of power, and it's our job to show him the man of power at this moment of time has to be the man of peace. In the coming radio and television presentations and others which we'll take on, we will show how this trip has so hastily put together, and what is the real agenda, and what is the true agenda, and what is said to be done. Remember one thing, the way the members of the Universal Council and the Earth Council have their wishes, now a few wishes has been tented together. The Chinese president, the American president, the Russian president, and now they're trying to find a way that with each other we find a path of peace. But as I said, none of the works will work unless we see the end of kingship. We send our deepest gratitude and support to Trump. and its motion, but it has to be clear and not the service work. We do the same with the President of China. We do the same with the Russian President. But we take the love of God from the kingship and the kings of this planet, as there shall be no king, because of them we shall not see peace. We explain why Donald Trump is going to Brussels, and why he's meeting, who he's meeting, and the reason behind it. It's all been covered in the face of politics, but has a huge, huge implication on the world peace. You will understand when in the interviews coming up we explain. This is not the place for it. We don't put our websites in danger anymore. I asked a question from different people. What would you like to be seen, to be taught? I usually choose the topic of teaching. One was from our transcribers was teletransportation. One of our guys who all know, he said, teach us to fly. As you know, I don't ever write, I never read, or I never teach from pre-transcript. My knowledge comes from the knowledge of universe. I would like to know, what would you like to know? Don't ask a question. What do you think is the knowledge which adds up to your knowledge which is missing, that it helps us and puts us in the path of peace better? If any of you, except Azar, of course, have any, not questions, but understanding which is needed, that I might be able, if not one of our panels, will be able to explain what is your missing knowledge. Raise your hand and we try to answer. And then we answer about the teletransportation and about the flight. I've been teasing Arman about it this morning. He's fed up. Maybe we get him on the path. What would you like to learn? What do you think is missing in the knowledge that it makes us, or allows us to become more successful in our mission of peace? Raise your hand and you can ask the question.
We have a couple of attendees that have put up their hand and have been promoted. In fact, there's about 5 or 6 or 7 that have put up their hands now, so the questions are coming in, I think.
Okay, put your hands up. You put your hands up, make your question. Or not a question. Let us hear what you like to hear.
Mr. Kesh, it's Brett Headley here. How are you?
Could you please explain where you're from, what is your background? That we start becoming a family, not just a name on the board.
I'm one of the first year students, and I've continued my studies over the last couple of years, and I'm from Australia, from the top end of Australia, and I enjoy my classes so much that every speck of my time that I have spare other than working. And my question to you, Mr. Kesh, is I made some...
Can we ask what is your participation in Progress of Humanity? We call it the job.
We're doing, or our class is at the moment doing...
No, I mean, what do you do in Australia for a living? What is your background?
Me, yes. I work as an automotive technician. Essentially, it's I work for a car club, so I rescue people in need on a general basis. So if you lock your dog in the car, I open the car. If you break down, I fix you.
So you're already man of rescue.
Yes, that's what I do for a job.
Thank you very much. What would you like to learn more, or what can we learn from you?
Well, I've been making ganses of ganses, which is the next level of the GANs, and I consumed some of it the other day, which was it was too strong. And
did you can I come in, please? Did you use the liquid plasma or the GANs itself?
No, dried GANs.
Please do not.
I found that out.
Many times.
I found that out.
Times. Let me explain to know the knowledge why. when you use dry GANs, it stays in the digestion system for a period of time. And because it stays in time, it releases huge amount of energy. A mono energy, which is made of to do. And you find out that the body does not create any harm. But what it does is saturates the body to the level that it is. The reason we use liquid plasma is that you take certain amount, which is no material attachment to it in the gas state, and it just releases what the body needs and it goes through the body. It's a huge difference holding a generator in the house or being connected to the electricity. When you consume GANs directly, you put a generator inside. Doesn't matter you use it or not, it still keeps on generating. Please refrain from this unless you're advised or given, or in a given condition by a physician, and or you are a physician, you decide yourself to control it, because many doctors and scientists have started monitoring the effect of the GANs on their own body, that they can start certain processes. We keep on advising you, please do not consume gases. Liquid gas plasma is a matter of the water which goes through the body. It has a measure, and when it gives and takes, it will go away. When you use liquid plasma, it's not that what the energy you have put in your body through the liquid plasma is what you didn't need in that parameters which is near you, your level of what you're given, will be taken from your body too. It's not a one-way system. Remember, you work with plasma. What you put across has to have a balance to come out. So what is not needed by the body is taken back by the same liquid which you brought the energy in. It brings balance. It's like eating a fiber. That's why when you take fiber, you have so many effects. Because when you take the orange juice, all the sweetness come into it. When you eat the pineapple juice, all the sweetness have come in it. But one step which is forgotten, if you eat the pineapple, the fiber in it brings a balance to the body, because what is given, what is not needed, is taken out by the fiber itself. This is what most of the world of science never understands. Why apple juice, the way we drink it, is no good, but the apple is. Because the fiber itself, not only in digestion, enforces the body to create more what I call releasing energy out of the body, but the fiber itself takes energy which is not needed by body to out of the body. The fiber works two ways: in activating for it to be digested or for it to be broken down, and then in that process takes what the body doesn't need out with it. You put a gram of pineapple, you get a gram of pineapple out. You gave at the energy of 2, you take all the ones which are blocking the system out. That's why there's a difference between the juice and the fruit. Please do not consume gases in any shape or form unless it's the condition of the whatever is advised by a physician, by understanding what you're doing, and as I said, unless you're the last man standing, and it's your decision. But please, we advise you again and again, don't put a generator inside your body when you just need to boil a kettle of water. Carry on, please.
The other questions that I have is in when we're making a GANs of a GANs. So should I dictate to the GANs if I've made some containers where I've got coils on the outside and some glass partitions, should I use a wet GANs or a dry GANs to make my other GANs?
First of all, you don't need a coil. You can use a coil and a GANs. That you can do it. It's like you put two, what do you call it, nano-coated plate and non-nano-coated plate, or two nano-coated plates, or two different nano-coated plates, or one single nano-coated plate and one metal. You can play the same game with the GANs. The limitation is the expectation and understanding. But be aware, putting a wall, putting a concrete wall has no meaning because the field flows across. You decide to put a coil, nano-coated on one side, and a GANs of CO2 or a GANs of copper oxide or whatever on the other side, and connect them. If you can connect, if you understood how to get energy from the dry GANs, that you can connect it to the coil, it's perfect. Why not? See what you collect in the middle, but understand the mass gravity ratio changed, what field you expect to create in the middle. You have a CO2 GANs in one side, that's what? CO2, 12 plus 32, 44 mass. 10% up and down. Anything from 34, at that rate about 15%. Let's say anything from 30 to 50, magnetic field strength sits in the spectrum of that package you made. On the other side, you put copper or zinc. Look at the spectrum of the copper and zinc. The lowest level of the copper comes, let's say, to 50, 48, 46, some of it. And then the highest goes to the other dimension. Now you create a magnetic field which is a balance between the coil and the GANs which you have packed. Now see what it could be. This is how it works. If you make a GANs of any material and you want to convey it, you want to transfer its energy, use nano-coated material. Then you work on the superconductor line of the nanomaterial. Make a slight dentation if you want to create the matter level plasma in the frequency of it, 60 Hz. Then you work, whatever you create in between, you have to understand what you have put in there. It taken us 4 years, 3 years, in a small teaching to get our knowledge seekers to understand they can use a GANs, but you have to have a ratio difference. Put twice as much as one in the other. How do you make it? You want to make it whatever. Take, let's say, 900 milliliter of a bottle, 900 meter balance. Put 300 ml, let's say, copper oxide, 300 meter magnesium oxide, and 300 millimeter whatever else. Mix it. Then put 600 in one side of the packet and 300 in the other side packet. Now you create the transfer of energy across the water, liquid, could be whatever kind of salt you have. Understand the creation of a matter state visibility in the condition of this planet usually happens with a condition of what we call the salt. What is the salt? It means a gravitational field which can hold on to residual water. This is something which a lot of our students have never understood. I've explained this in some teachings, and I thought some people have understood. For those of you who don't understand, or you're new to the knowledge of the plasma, up to now, man has always used acid condition, which means availability of hydrogen as a giver of energy. When you give, you cannot hold on to. You cannot bring in. The opposite to giving, which is the hydrogen, is to hold, which is gravitational. And in the liquid state of the condition of this planet, the gravitational comes through the oxygen, because it's the magnetic matter in the state of the gaseous and liquid. In the solid matter state, you have iron. In liquid state, and the gas is oxygen. That's why you use and you create CO2, because it holds on to, it brings in the water within the confinement of your container is a gravitational system. That's why you see collection of the matter underneath of it. You collect CO2, you collect the others, because the initial stage of the attraction in the liquid has already been initiated by the oxygen in the water itself. And then what do? You add, let's say, NaCl. Look at it, look at the composition. What does it happen? Hydrogen is one. In the presence of gravitation of the oxygen has no power. But it facilitates the oxygen to be released and the hydrogen to find a connection with Cl in the plasmatic condition. And now the gravitational field becomes heavier and heavier and heavier, and you start collecting matters. So when you use water, and especially with like salt, you create a gravitational system to pull what it's into it. Look how you create CH3. CH3 is a combination of energy releasing combination. Because you look at the CH3, but you got to look at the composition of the metal you put in there as zinc oxide with iron in the center. Start to understand the totality of the knowledge in real field, not in physicality. That is why when you create a salt condition, you have to see with these ganses I put in here, or GANs and a coil, what kind of salt do I need to be able to pull what I want to pull? What ratio do I need? You don't put 2 and 2 on either side. There is hardly any transfer of field, so you can't collect much. You can't put copper and copper, unless you nano coat one, which is now is a different field strength, because now you play with the fields, not the matter. And the salt you have created in the liquid state of the water is the gravitational point for attraction of what is the matter state within that liquid, as a field strength that it converts it to the tangibility of the gas. Many gases you produce that you never see, but it's there, because it's like gases. You need confirmation of the visibility, but when you use them, you see the confirmation of the effect. Just because you put a GANs of CO2 and a GANs of CH3, there is nothing at the bottom of the bucket for you to confirm you've done something right. It doesn't mean that at all. It means you have not understood what you created. Because in any condition, when there is a transfer of energy from one to another, it dictates the balancing fields, which is like the cancer between two paths. There you take away. Here, because of the creation of the salt, you manifest the existence. So, open the horizon of the knowledge and understand nothing you do is wrong. The only thing is, you have to understand what have you achieved from what you think was wrong that you didn't understand. Sometimes you make assumptions, sometimes you work, and then you analyze. So if you have a coil, nano-coated, you have a coil, not nano-coated, you have a GaNs in one place, and you connect them with a normal wire, understand you have limited yourself to matter state of this planet. Then you get a different effect. You nano-coat, you connect yourself to the fields of this planet. In the future, when you become much wiser in teaching and in learning, you create pipes with a dry GaNs or liquid GaNs going from one part to another, and then you create a true plasma. But we have to go step by step as you learn more. There's nothing wrong with you putting a coil, nano-coated, and zinc, how you connect it. You have to understand when you connect it to the copper non-coated, you enforce the condition of the fields in the matter state. Then you have a different thing. Then when you do the same thing with a nano-coated wire, you create a different condition between the matter and the plasma. When you use the GaNs as a connection line between the two parts, then you create true plasmatic condition, which is a replication of the body of the man's operation. Then you can use that material for anything you need for your dynamic system for the health. Yesterday, in one of the teachings, medical, I was present, and a discussion came about kidney stone. How do we get rid of kidney stone? What is the process? Why? I explained to our knowledgeable doctors the way I see it. And it's for them to analyze and to understand, and then see how they expand on knowledge. If we look at the body of the man, except in more or less the bone structure, we don't see any matter state anywhere in the body. For the bone structure to become matter state, a specific salt is needed. Presence of a specific salt and emotional field strength is needed to become in a matter state, which means is the replication of the planet Earth atmospheric condition inside the body of the man, that man can replicate what is outside inside. We call it the bone. This is why when we die, our bones stays, because one thing we never understood, the body has managed to replicate what is outside inside, so it stays, because when it comes out, it's not a flash, it doesn't dissolve, it's part of the structure. This is what world of medicine has never understood. They cannot understand because never understood the truth about the plasma. So if we look in the body of the man, in certain points, our body has learned the interaction of the conversion to the matter state of the environment that can stand the environment. Bones is one of them. Nail is the other. Hair is partially the same. The skin is the compromise. Still calcium based, still salt based, still magnesium based, but we can get rid of it. We shed it. That's why we can collect our skin. So if you look, our body has learned the replication, depends where it is, where it's got to be. So what it means when you look at the bone structure, it means the body of the man has learned to replicate, create a condition that uses the material after conversion from the plasma into organs to behave and be the copy of what is outside. We call it the bone structure, calcium. Now, if you understood this, what is the kidney stone? A kidney stone is created because a condition has been created inside the kidney which replicates matter state of the glands outside. So it starts accumulating. Now it's trying to make a bone inside. So our body has learned how to replicate the atmospheric condition of the outside inside. That it leads to confirmation of the existence of matter state glands. What do you do? How do you overcome it? How do you do that you stop this? Or change the course? All it is, you need to change the atmosphere of the work of the kidney. That's all. You don't give it a medicine. You don't operate it. You just change and show the environment what it should be, that the brain or the emotion in the soul of the man is happy. He's not happy with you changing this place to a, like you take a cupboard in the back of the kitchen and you stash all the jams in without Papa knowing. One day all the sweeties are in that, we call it the sweetie box, but Baba doesn't know, so we can keep it. That's what the kidney does. Till the Baba finds out it's too late because you store too much you can't get rid of. What do you do with these cases? A patch, one-way patch, not double patch, because it has no amino acid connection. It's got the matter state connection of the gans. You allow to bring comfort and peace to the kidney. You change the environment that what you call conversion to solidification in the presence of the salt in the kidney of the man does not take place. It stops producing. So simple. Many dialysis machines will be thrown into the bin once the doctors understand how to use the patches. For the cancer I was seeing in teaching with His Excellency Dr. Rodriguez, he uses a patch in the front and the back as we taught. And he transfers the energy of the cancer, which is amino acid based. But when it comes to the seed of it, which is the element base, then he goes to take the element out. He makes a copy of what is the element made of. In the case of kidney, you don't have this. You're already at a point. You can transfer its energy out to deplete it, or you teach the body not to have this condition. Moving the stone from the kidney does not solve the problem of the kidney that is still producing. With a patch, you allow the body to reset the structure itself. There is no need for kidney transplant. There is no need for opening the body of the man to take the kidney stone out and all the things they do with ultrasonic and the rest of it and chemicals. Because later on, I was produced again a stone in my kidney because you never sorted out the reason for it, which is a malfunctioning of the kidney itself, because the soul of the man is not happy with it. Something is, I'm getting too much, I want to be detached from physicality, because when I get rid of it in terms of physicality, it means I want nothing to do with it. They start learning, they start analyzing, they start comprehending that there's no time to fight, be it the disease, be it the man. You can create an environment of the satisfaction, both to physicality and the soul. You find out in a few days time, few weeks time, there is no kidney, and you sorted the problem for good, because you satisfy the emotion link of the organ that is created the change for it to confirm whatever the soul of the man does not want to happen. Nobody has ever asked a kidney dialysis machine man who sits there, or a man with a kidney stone, about their emotion. about what was in the past that links up to the kidney. With the knowledge we have, there should be no man waiting for a transplant. With the knowledge which we see coming up in the medical section with the doctors, with the experts in this field, I don't see very shortly the systems will be in the market that you can walk in, instead of going to the dialysis machine, forever coming to be cleaned up, you sort out the cause of the kidney problem from the kidney itself, that it satisfies the emotion of the soul, and that's it. The dialysis machine manufacturers will go bankrupt because there is no need. There should be no man waiting for organs now that we have released the knowledge. In the, what we call the news channels of the Keshe Foundation, we start teaching this heavily. We bring attention to the foundation through its health, agriculture, and the positive input. The positive input in the progressive direction of the use of the plasma is knowledge and what can do. I don't see any reason for it. I never understood why people go for transplant with the knowledge is available. You got to realize, as I said in the last week teaching, we were put in this position because of one man, and you will find out the most powerful man on the world scene of the politics is about to take out the red card out. And I'll tell you one thing, Keshe Foundation had a lot to do with it. If the world of medicine, the world of science understands the true interaction of the application of the technology, a lot of things can be sorted very rapidly. You change the environment, and when there is not the environment for existence, for what your soul is not happy with, the soul of even the animal will move to satisfy you, because you satisfy his soul. This is how you work with pesticides. You kill. With our technology, you accommodate the piece of the soul of the animal. Here, you cause me damage. I have no food to eat. It's the language of the universe. I move on somewhere else. I eat another grass. I don't need this to harm someone. You will see, if you understand the true operation, you will go a long, long way in solving most of the problems of humanity and the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. Carry on, please.
Mr. Keshe, I think maybe a good example of that might be what Liberty, known as Libby, might have to say.
No, we would like to pass her, please. Can we have somebody else?
Okay.
Is there any other hand? Anything else you want to enlighten us? The gentleman who was asking or enlightening us, thank you very much for bringing this up. This is how, from now on, we try to answer or try to explain many questions which is amongst you in understanding more in depth of what you are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Much love.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe, this is John here. As for the heart, does it apply also for the transplanting of hearts? If you have an ischemia?
I would prefer not to answer you, John, because I've seen some problems the way you put things across. And you're not a physician. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Yes.
Hi, this is Stephen from California.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about tuning my filter, my emotional filter. I'm trying to use the matter state of our amino acid connection, like hydrogen. I'm trying to find a channel, basically, for a filter. I'm trying, and for
You
some
want
reason,
to make a filter. Am I correct? You want to make
I'm trying to find
emotional
a. I'm trying to find a physical representation to teach me how to tune an emotional filter, if that makes sense.
You want me to enlighten you, I can't teach you. Try, you know, when you are a child, you try to stand up and you fall to the left and you adjust your brain, and then you stand up, this time you fall to the right. And then you adjust yourself. And then gradually you learn between the two extremes of falling left or falling right. Do the same thing first to understand the strength of an emotion. Joy with the extreme the other side. Regret. Happiness with sadness. And try to get the feel. What does it affect in that process? Why when I get sad, my physical structure of the face shrinkles. My condition of the thoughts changes. And what happens when I'm happy? My face opens up. Now you see the two physicality. And then you get the emotion of the feeling of the two. Then try to become close enough to your own soul that you dictate the emission of the emotion. It needs a lot of practice. The only thing I advise you, when you do these kind of development of the emotion for elevation of the soul, never go to the left. Never go to pain. Never go to suffering. Always say happy and happier. What brings a smile on my face and what makes me laugh? What makes me walk because of the joy? What makes me run because of the joy? When I explain the extremes, is on a positive way. Never touch the negative. That negative is what has caused the man to go to all sorts of wrongs. Try to teach yourself from being happier, happier, from being positive, being more positive, from being aggressive towards the positiveness and just being passive regarding the positiveness. Test all effects of emotion and then you say, learn. If I go this way, I'm more successful. Because you got to learn something. In a space when they see is the affection of the soul, not what the soul wants to do wrong with, because they don't consider the power of the love which is giving is so powerful. Now, whatever is within the means of the man to destroy or do wrong, it just dissolves, it doesn't exist. The fields of it are looked after. I tell you I love you. As I explained it to my wife very recently. I said, when I tell you I love you, it's for you to take what I want to be given at the highest order I can give. And when you tell me you love me, it's the same. You give what you don't need. That in giving to what you don't need, you can take what I give you that elevates your soul. This is why we need the confirmation of love. It's not fake, it's not hidden. It's not that we do something with it. It's what we are giving. It takes a lot to understand. This is the way you bring peace to the soul of the man. You make it available and it takes what it needs. Even the physicality puts a barrier. Don't touch me. I don't want to be kissed by you. But because you said you love, you have already elevated the soul in the background. This comes, is very deep, deep rooted in the Jewish religion, because it's understood fully. Part of the followers of Moses believe in something very strong, which a lot of people don't know. Does not matter what happens between a man and a woman during the week, you kill each other, whatever, and you love each other. Every Friday night, a man and a woman have to confirm their love, even with physicality, irrespective of what happens. And you find out the next day, the love grows. Because we are physical. Confirmation of the word and physicality has to go hand in hand. And in the tune of our brain, there is a dopamine, which means satisfaction through interaction. Physical interaction that soul can change while the physicality exchange. We call it lovemaking. That's what we do, and we get a payment. It's like a mouse which goes and does a routine and comes back and gets a sugar cube or a drop of sweet. The Creator has put a drop of sweet. When you confirm the love, which I take part of it, and you confirm it through physicality, then you have a sweet there. We call it the click of sexuality. That's all we do it for. That's why a lot of people stay prostitutes, because they get that through the control. So try to understand how to handle your emotion, to find the strength of your emotion, work between positive and positive. From being excited to see, being happy to be, and see what strength is excitement, what strength is happiness. And then how much more excited, how much you got happier. And try to follow the emotion through your neural system, through your skin, through your aura, back to its sense, which is the soul of the man. Then you make the filter. Then you find out the filter is the emission of the soul itself, which is just. I don't need to give too much on this side because it makes him too happy. I change slightly, I give another direction, let him run faster, that it reaches his love faster. Then you find out the filter of the man is the emotion of the man itself, which is within the soul of the man. You don't need a filter. Your emotion, your direction of emotion builds a filter. And that filter is what really you expect your soul to give. You call it a filter. I call it a giving. Never work on the negative. Never work on what? I have a lot of negativeness. People who are around me, I always look at what is the negative because I know the behavior of the man. But I work through the soul to elevate it. I'll give you an example. In part of our work, in certain part of the foundation, in certain part of the world, we had a man who opposed us and caused us so much havoc. Those who are close to us know what I'm talking. We stood. We didn't go and harm. But we heard this week he's been removed in a very bad way. Extremely bad way. He's not there to damage the foundation anymore. We didn't go and attack him. We didn't do anything. He did anything it could be, we became his life enemy number one. He was so concentrated that he didn't watch that the others were looking for his weakness and they got it. I was talking to one of the top men in his organization, and he said he's gone, he's finished. He's too busy now sorting out the problem he's created for himself. We didn't go on damage. So many times I said, one day this guy will elevate. One day he receives the soul. He did receive, but his own soul brought him to his own punishment for himself. Never work to harm. Work. I am a lot worried. I have a lot of worries. I get a lot of anger from the behavior of the man. But I don't understand why. In a political situation of today, we see a move which we initiated it because it was correct. In Jim Maguire and the others, I'll explain how I triggered and how the world leaders played correctly. They took their part, they took their position. Some are moving in a different way to cover, but in fact, it's exactly what was my wish. Because my wish is peaceful. I understand the filtering I need to release from the emotional side to allow a king to move. It's not just moving a king. You have to satisfy those who live within his kingdom that they are safe. I do not remove a king. I give enough support to the whole of the nation through their souls that you are equal to me. There is no need for abuse. And then the other world leaders do the job. This is the difference. We elevate the soul of the man. We don't devalue it, because then I have to pay for it. We open the hand of the world leaders because we understand the filter of their emotion. Do you know what is the biggest fear of a king? When there is nobody to say, Your Majesty, he is not, has no more value. When he becomes an ordinary man on the street. This is the wish. This is understanding the filtering of the wish. Positive work, only positive. Only work towards, I give so much that it cannot handle anymore. So because I'm a giver, I give. But you have to understand, you don't give it on a frequency 190 when he's working on 180. I give you 180, take what you like, and then you find out he gets saturated. I give from my soul to the King of Belgium. As he needs it, he receives it, and what he cannot handle elevates the rest of the Belgians. Why we see different behavior in sexuality, which means I need to receive. So we give. We give to the soul what is lacking in physicality. This is how you move a king from his kingship, by giving. So much in all the strength that in time the soul will move the king. No fighting. What I call silence, joy of peace. The followers of Keshe Foundation, you want peace. You listen to these teachings in any language. Put your concentration of giving freely with joy to the King of Belgium. Let him feel that he's equal. He doesn't need to have misconduct. He will move soon, because now you use the key of the soul of the man. And the souls are just. Remember one thing. You're all looking for a way to walk away from the miseries of your life. Cancer, poverty, damage to the environment, shoe for a child. Look back in one way. Open your heart, say, I'm ready to receive, not to have pain. The shoe will come, the king will move. Because now you have become a magnet in receiving what the others have freely made available. You put the condition not to receive. Then you understand there is no need for filtering. A filter comes out of physicality. When you know you're omnipotent, when you know you're here to give, when you know you're here to take what is available, not what you want to take, when you become correct man of conduct, then you give at the strength which the other one needs without you ever thinking about it. Yesterday, I met with the Universal Council meeting. Not as the head of Keshe Foundation, not as the messenger of God, in the term of physicality of the man. And I explained to the council why I wish the end of kingship, as what that king has done to me. In physical terms. I explained my wish to do the balance that nobody else will suffer. Look at the wars around the world today. By tonight, when you close your eyes, hundreds of children will go to sleep without a father through the bullets of a gun. Thousands of parents will never see the child because of the gun, because of the war. Now, as the famous president said, the bucket stops in the White House. There shall be no whitewash. Now the bucket stops with the war leaders who structure these kind of wars. When, as I said before, when the war leaders realize when you initiate a war you have to pay for it through your soul, or what the pain you have caused, no stupid war leader will start a single bullet. We've seen that in the behavior of the Chinese president, President Xi. Man of wisdom. He has diverted many wars without people understanding, through the wisdom of the whole Chinese Council. We've seen getting played by the others through President Putin, trying to bring the ethos of peace, but he doesn't know how to handle it because he hasn't been brought from the point of security with President Xi comes. We see the childish behavior in trying to be big from the Americans. And now, the wisdom of the man, of the peace, the true peace, has made the child to play the game. Go and play, Papa will look after you. Because our wish, which is the wish of the council, which is the wish of you as race, that why we are following one path of knowledge, and the knowledge we know has to be peace. What is the ultimate goal of having this knowledge? We ask for your support. We need your support. If you are the true man of this planet and peace is your wish, Let's solve the first problem. The biggest problem for man is the kingship. And the kingship in two islands on two either side of the planet, as I explained very recently to a group. Japan and United Kingdom. And in between, the rest are at play. One in the Far East and in China side for centuries, one on the other island on the west coast of Europe. When the kingship finishes, there is nothing to have, there is nothing to conquer, because we have conquered the soul of the man, not the physicality of torturing him. I was in a meeting with one of the strong groups, who is scientific, totally scientific, yesterday. I explained to them that I've come here, I asked for the board meeting, not as a Ghanaian, but somebody who cares for Ghana. I said, you are the top scientist group, you monitor everything. I want you to send a representative to the Keshe Foundation Board of Directors of the spaceship. Because then we all understand on both sides there is no fear, and you internally control and understand what needs to be done, what is to come, and internally we become one. It was a shock to them. I could see them. They didn't know how to handle such an invitation to make one out of nation. I gave it to them with love and care. And they become part of the Keshe Foundation. The Keshe Foundation Ghana is established and will establish out of the love of the nation, for the nation, and for Africa. Nobody can break it. Because we give freely. We promote peace in a very scientific way through the soul of the man. And this is the filter of the man. Now try to find your filter. As you will understand more and more, we show you the effect and the cause. You bring the cause and the effect, and we show the line between the two, how you can. My wish is I could educate the whole mankind in one go, but it will not stay in the grain of the man, because the man, the minute had the gift, eats the chocolate and the sweet and forget about it. Next job. But if the man makes a sweet, he knows how much he's got, how much got to eat, and what is kept for the rainy day, for every day. Try to learn one thing: be just. Try to be correct in giving freely. Is for the one who you've given to refuse it. Then he deprives himself or herself from it. And then he has to work to get it. And then that's the time of wasting. Try to exercise. Start one case. I took my case as a man as the first man to Universal Council. And today we heard, they understood, they felt the pain of a man with a king. And we heard today, has become dervish. They have a freedom. They don't need to do anything else. If all of us have the same wish to bring peace, and we see the peace is to allow another soul to receive as much as it likes in its soul, then it satisfies its physicality. My wish is to give as much as possible. I've said that in many of my teachings. I elevate the soul of my enemies, that they find themselves in the land of peace of themselves. My wish is the elevation of the soul of the King of Belgium, King Philip. That with it, he puts down the seat of kingship. I don't terrorize his soul, I elevate his soul. Let us all do. My wish is peace through the end of kingship. And we go step by step. Let's elevate one at a time. See our power. See what we can deliver to bring peace to humanity. I wish the end of the kingship in Belgium. With peace and elevation of those souls who might have a fear. Goodbye, King Philip. And hello, Mr. Philip. My wish is my command. I wish the same for your father. Now I give the same pleasure to the son. Now, is your wish, you carry on. Understand the emotion. Understand there is no filtering. It's you who decide to pigeonhole it. Let the receiver pigeonhole it, not you.
Thank you very much.
Hello,
Next.
good morning, Mr. Ted. Good morning, everyone.
Is who?
This is Paul from Togo.
Yes.
Yeah, I have some question, cultural question. In Africa, people have a bit to use frequently the black energy, black magic to abuse and destroy other ones. So I will like you enlighten to everyone how to protect themselves from this black magic. Thank you, Mr.
I can answer you this immediately. I can answer you how immediately. And it is, the reason I tell you I can answer you immediately, we live in Ghana, and we were faced with this. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I came across a wise man. And that wise man is the brother of Benjamin. We call him Senior. He calls himself Shakespeare. He writes beautiful songs, what do you call it? Talks. He said, when you don't believe in it, it cannot touch you. The fear they have put inside you, you receive it because now you made the frequency for it. You made the receivers at this level of the soul. The best advice, and I see it working, is not understanding that nobody is more than you, they cannot do. They have used the channel of fear that they can do, so you accept it, it happens. I had this discussion with Caroline in the past few days, many, many times. The fear comes, we allow it because of what we can lose. If you understand you cannot lose anything, you have no fear. So when it comes to black magic, what you call it, is what they have made you to think, and you work in that strength to do. We were talking with Benjamin very past few days. We had a guy who, what I was told recently, he's a strong believer of black magic. Very strong believer and whatever. And they say I was told he lost his job because of it or whatever. He came to us in a different angle, in a different way. And we done nothing but to shower him with his need. What he needed, what he was short in his life. Benjamin and I, even though we know where he came from and what it was in, Benjamin was telling me yesterday, have you noticed how ashamed he is when he comes to the factory? Knowing what is done, knowing what they are doing, and now he comes here knowing how openly we give to him to support him and his family. Unconditionally. We don't say you can't have it because you did this and that. We give him everything, the knowledge we have to bring peace to his family, through it comes through him because of the one he loves. His black magic doesn't work because he could do the same on us. And gradually he finds out the path of peace and love and real true caring is the only solution. He has changed. He has changed in so many ways when it comes to us. Even though on the other side he has to show his face that he's doing something different, but inside he has changed towards us. And is the belief, I never understood, to me is irrelevant. But we see people do, because they create a field that affects you. That's all they do. If you put yourself above that, nothing can affect you. When we came to the house, we didn't know this here in Ghana. To me, the house wasn't kept. We found a padlock. I've explained this before, I don't know if you heard it or not. And I asked, what's this padlock? I was explaining this padlock, it means they lock it and they lock and it brings bad luck to the house. And there is something is locked. I showed it to our driver. I said, what is going on? This guy, oh, he said you have to do something very special with this to get it out of the house. I spoke with Benjamin, I spoke with Senior. They said, you don't believe in it, doesn't matter. But our driver believed in it. You know what they did with it? He said, this is what you got to do with it. You got to, excuse my language, you have to urinate on it and then you throw it in the toilet and it goes. I thought that's a very funny way. And I actually said, okay, do it. Because I wanted to really, they do it. Yes, we did. I sat in the car and I watched him doing it. And I thought, this is the most hilarious thing. The public toilets in Ghana must be full of padlocks. Because everybody throws them in the toilet. They don't do it in theirs because you know it might block it. The same day we found the second padlock. It was very strange. Suddenly we found 2 padlocks. And then we found the third one. So in the West, we make wish of love and we put a padlock on bridges. If you go across Europe, you see it, little tiny wishes and love padlocks. Here they use a padlock to create wish of witches, they call it. And that creates the fear, and it comes to you because you allow it to come into you. And it's very funny. Nowadays, I look, and the strange thing is they buy a black padlock. It's the best business in town to be in, because they have enforced the emphasis on what happens. And if something happens, you see this, I told you that padlock has brought it to you. But as Senior told me, you don't believe in it, it doesn't come to you. I don't believe in it, I can do whatever I like, because I give love and care to it. And then when we start doing it, we found out the people who actually did the padlock, they disappeared. This is the strangest thing, because now we have not accepted the gift. It goes back for them, they have to teach people in not to believe in it. And when you find it, whatever it is, give it back with love and care. It cannot be taken by the one who sent it. You find you elevate the soul of the one who sent it, and then you don't have no enemies. I know exactly what you're talking about. When Caroline was here in Ghana, we had a servant in the house. For weeks, Caroline was sick, from one pain to another. She literally became bedridden. She was always in bed, tired, exhausted, with pain. For one reason or another, through whatever, at night, we got rid of the servant. Mainly for misconduct. She went in the back room and she was meddling with something while we were watching her to go. The next morning when she left, Caroline started walking and there was no problem in the house anymore. The next day, I looked at it one way. It wasn't a black magic. Whatever, we know what was happening. Now we understand. Because you can make it to show as a black magic, but you can do a lot of other things. It's the vulnerability of the receiver who accepts, not the strength of the man who gives. If you are strong, you cannot be given. You can refuse my love, Because if you think you're strong to refuse, but how come you accept the thoughts of the others to be in control of that strength? We have to become strong in understanding that it's us who decides what to receive. We don't want to eat the food. We cannot open our mouth and show it. It's the same with black magic. Teach people, explain to them. And it goes, but the thing is, this thing is so deeply cultured in this part of the world, which is unbelievable. But as I say, I pray, I give from my soul to all the Ghanaians, the whole of Africans, that they become strong enough that nothing can put fear in them. And that's all we can do. All our supporters around the world of Africa. We need to uproot this. We call it superstition. We call it whatever. Black magic. As I said, the last president of Gambia, when he left a few weeks ago, there were a lot of black magic voodoos and things in his cargo. He had to leave some behind. The ones who had, he thought they have less power than the others. But all that power could not keep him in his presidential seat. So they have no power. Otherwise he would have used it to destroy everybody else around him. And look what happened. A security man from August with 2 gorgeous wives has moved into the palace as a new president. This is the new trend. A president with 2 wives, dressed exactly the same, and he loves them both the same. They look like twins. Go on the internet and watch it and find it. He's brought a new dimension into the world of presidential. Instead of having mistresses in the background, he's brought the 2 queens into the house of the presidency. It's amazing what he's done. Most probably, as we saw with the French president who brought a young, or actually the Prime Minister of Italy, who went for the younger woman, and then the rest of the presidents followed him, as we saw with the French presidents. What the new president of Gambia has set up, it'll be amazing to see how, which other presidents going to replicate and bring their mistresses out as equal wives. Just go on the internet and look. The president from our security at the Argos shop become the president of Ghana. Sorry, Gambia. I used to work in Gambia. I love that nation. It's the most beautiful people you can work with. But I couldn't work with the last president. Now he's gone. But the new president has brought a love equal between the 2 wives into the presidential palace. So there is no use talking, because he doesn't need to. It's on the table. Everybody can see. And he's dressed, all 3 of them dressed exactly the same in their official pictures. We saw President Trump in his he's actually accepting the presidency and defeat of Clinton. He stood with a child gap between him and his wife because of whatever was in the background between her and her past. A man should be proud to have his wife next to him, irrespective of what. You should have never stood for elections. And when you stood, you should stand next to your wife. It's her who brought you to this point. She stood all the way. And that was a misconduct. No one should be ashamed of their partner being next to them. I watched it and I felt sorry, very sorry. Because the usual trend, if you go on acceptance of the position as the president of the most powerful man in the world, is having your partner next to you. The partner was stood, a step 1 child in between. Because he was ashamed or possibility of damaging him. Where, whatever he is, whatever she is, still she should stand next to him. She is the key to his success. She supported his emotion and his physical need. In time of becoming a president, she has to be next to him. It's the problem of other world leaders and their wives not wanting to be next to her. But put it this way, she was at least open with her past. The others do it behind closed doors. This is the problem with our society. They fear black magic or black talk. And this has to stop. It's us who believes in it. I have seen a misconduct in the presidential acceptance, and I told people around me, you should be ashamed to be a president when you can't have your partner who's been part of it that you are, cannot be standing next to you. You saw Mr. Clinton when he came president, when you saw when Obama came president. They stood shoulder to shoulder. You see in my organization, I stand shoulder to shoulder with my wife. We have good time, we have bad time, but we stand next to each other to support the foundation. We have our own weaknesses and strength. And that man standing away from his wife has brought him a lot of mistrust in the world of the politics. He is now around the world becoming the messenger of the peace, which President Xi decides. Now, the most powerful man in the world is doing the job, the bidding of the true man of the peace. We are aware of a lot of things happening, and we explain to you why and how. But it's us who allows the misconduct, the acceptance of it. And in so many ways, it's the fear which is the feeder. If you can show it, you'll understand it. You teach and you bring out. Let them see it. It takes time. This is ingrained in the culture. You cannot change it. But at least those you come in touch with, allow them to understand more. That the fear is what they open the door to receive. If you knock on the door, when you know on the other side, I could have a bucket of honey, is you who loses the sweetness. But if you don't open out of the fear that I might have a snake in my hand, then that's your problem too, because you have no confidence in how to handle the snake. Then they have played with a piece of a string to look like a snake. Teach your people, especially this is part of our teaching in Africa, has to be, because it's deep rooted here. Superstition. We see the same in Iran. It's not just exclusive to here. They explore the weakness of the man. When I went to Iran, I saw the most amazing thing. I could not believe. Those of you who've been to Tehran, those of you Iranian understand it. If not, take a picture of the streets of Tehran, you see it immediately on Google. Every few hundred meters, there is a letterbox. I haven't been to Iran for 30 odd years. I thought, what are there so many letterboxes every few hundred meters? Iranians must be busy posting so many letters that there are so many post boxes. I could not keep the curiosity because I could see some people putting things. I thought it wasn't letter type thing. I asked one of my bodyguards, I said, what are these letterboxes? Why are there so many of them? Every street of Tehran is covered with it, every few hundred yards. He said, these are not letterboxes, Mr. Akuri. I said, what are they? These, he said, these are the payment for doing wrong. I said, what do you mean? He said, when you think you've done something wrong or somebody has put a bad eye on you, you put the money in there, you wish it's going away. I said, look, Catholic Church hasn't learned, the Iranians are far ahead of them. The confession box and the making a church, they put a church along the streets of Tehran in the name of Islam, using the weakness of the fear of the man. It's us who have to learn and to teach by elevating the soul of the man. This is what I told you. You believe in black magic? I take you in space, you see things you've never seen. Every man of space become a god and a priest, because they show you a lot of magics you don't understand. This is why we are elevating the soul of the man that is in control of it himself, that there shall be no black magic. Because everything is white. It's for us to find out where the light comes from. That through it we see the reality. You talk about the black magic in Africa. You go into the street of Tehran, it is ridiculous. And then I ask, what happens to the money in this? They said nobody knows. It goes in the pocket of people who are just collecting money for their wealth. Don't forget, nowhere across the world, and this is one thing I don't understand, religious organizations pay no taxes, but they collect in the name of the God. Whose God? I haven't found out yet. They don't pay me, and they don't pay you. Where does all the money collected untaxed, nobody knows how much, in the name of God? I haven't seen a bank of God yet. The last one, which was a Bank of Vatican, they killed the guy because he took too much from the God, but they couldn't find the God, they killed the guy. Because God couldn't say where the money is gone to. The last robbery of the Vatican has been in the past few years. And the ones who robbed it, we talk about in our TV channel, not here. Just ask your question. Why did the German Pope abdicate? What did he take from Vatican that nobody liked, but this time they couldn't kill it because he had a strong supporters somewhere else? You got to realize, black magic is used in different names. Confession, post box in Tehran, money into the boxes and hairs in India. People donate out of the fear to their master that they get something for it, that he can have something. And the hairs are sold in the West for the mist hairdos, the natural hair. The woman grows her hair and donates it to the god. And the god cleans it and sells it for $4,000 to the Americans to go on the head of a woman in America. Where is the god? And the money goes in God knows what. Abuse of the weakness of the man due to lack of his knowledge has been going along. The wish of the councils should be to elevate the soul of the man, that shall be no abuse. Not only just a kingship. The biggest abuser of the man is the man himself of his own soul. Now go and learn, and then you understand. My biggest fear in life is to do wrong. And to be done wrong too. Because it takes a lot of time to elevate the soul of the ones who have done wrong too. And they've done wrong, and they pretend to be, they've done wrong too. You make gases, you make these dynamic gases, make a pure 100% zinc, 95% zinc, 20% CO2. And let it run. Don't expect any interaction. Let it elevate the soul of the man across the planet. You know, you turn on a candle in the corner in the name of whatever. Now understand, you've seen the power of the gas, you've seen the power of the interaction of the fields across the world. Make a CO2 and zinc oxide and elevate, and do it in a very nice way. If you want to take the fear of them, because they show their fear in physicality, add a touch of magnesium gas into it. You connect the emotion to physicality. Physicality will have no fear, and the emotion is already elevated. You've done the job. Handle it scientifically, you walk out. Those who have the fear, they will understand. We bring the fear of God into the life of the kings and those who have been around them. Not by fear of taking from them. The fear we give them so much they can't handle, that under pressure of receiving, the knees will crumble. When you bring yourself down, there is nobody called the enemy, there will be no followers afterwards. If we do a revolution and get the king out, then the others have to be supporters of the king. This way, when the king goes, the whole thing collapses. And my wish for you, Mr. Philip, is to be correct in conduct and leave the seed of kingship. I give from my soul to yours, and with it, we'll see the balance of the justice for humanity. And when one understands it, the rest follow. We had the spring of uprising in the African nation and north coast of Africa. Now we have the autumn and the winter of the kingships. Let's see. How truly our wishes are to serve will show how much we are. As I said in the teaching, when you support the soul of a patient, you have to understand, you have to support the soul of the family and those who are around it that are elevated as well. That is them who cause partially the problem. In elevating them, you elevate the totality, you solve the problem from its root. When we wish for elevation of the soul of a king, to understand he is nothing but a man, we have to look after the soul of the nation. Those who believe in it, that in turn they see the wisdom why he has stepped down and they abide correctly. And you will see. President Trump is not going to Belgium to say hello. He's going to say goodbye. Any other points?
Good morning, Mr. Kesh. Yes. Good morning, Mr. Kesh. I am Ram Mansour from France.
Good morning to you.
I am very happy to tell you what I found using dowsing. As you know, I am very sensitive to the vibration of the ganses. Thus, I could study the behavior of gans water when it is taken out of the gans, when it is separated from the gans. What I found this. If it is kept in a closed glass bottle, gans water remains stable for weeks, as I noticed so far. But if the container is open, the gans water loses its vibration in the air after about 5 hours. The same result is observed when the container is a plastic bottle. Thus the patches which are made of plastic lose their strength similarly after about 5 hours. I don't conclude, of course, that they are no more efficient for curing people. Maybe the memory, they keep the memory of their vibrations.
Can I stop you there, please?
Yes,
we don't
please.
Cure with plasma. We allow the body to process itself. Cure is for the doctors, and they haven't managed to do much of it in recent past.
Okay.
Carry on, please.
Voilà, okay. Anyway, I wanted to bring these informations, hoping that further investigations will induce further results. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. You got to realize when you talk at this level, you got to understand we deal with the fields and not with the matter state. And in a way, when you leave it in open, whatever the environment needs, it gives. When you put in the container, the glass or whatever, you create a filter. The reason the plastic has the same as open space, is because plastic structure is a filter structure. Even though you think it's closed, it still has an opening. That's why it deteriorates and then dissolves, and we see it going in the open, what do you call it, degenerate. We deal with the fields of the plasma. The glass and the metal lid has a property of filtering. Certain fields still leave the bottom. But you dictate anything above this. With openness, you're connected. Anybody goes can have one. When you decide to give one slice of the bread to who you choose, your bread lasts a long time. But if you leave the slice of the whole loaf of bread on the table, anybody can take in 1 minute, it's gone, because everybody takes whatever is passing. It's the same phenomenon. Because the water or the gas shares its energy with it very rapidly. And this is the reason. We have to understand the principle behind it, not why we see it. Because this CH bond is a very weak bond. It's actually open transparency when it comes to the field transfer. So everything goes. A glass ceramic creates a given condition. Filtering. Thank you very much for sharing knowledge with us.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Hello, Mr. Kesh. This is Ek Michael from Germany. Could you enlighten us a little bit about vaccines? Because I'm not a doctor, I'm an electronic engineer, but I'm also a father of a 1-year-old boy. And I have this stomach feeling that a lot of vaccines are just a money-making machine for the pharma industry. But maybe some of them are necessary. For example, when we want to go to Ghana, we need this yellow fever vaccination. So I'm a little bit unsure or confused about which vaccines are necessary and which are maybe only a risk for the kid.
Let me explain to you in 2 ways. I speak as a father, not as the head of the Keshe Foundation. Carol and I, we have suffered heavily because of the vaccination with 2 of our sons. It's literally affected the structure of our family. There is no problem with most of the children vaccination, as long as the 3 vaccination they have linked together with mercury is given to the child individually and in time gap, the way they used to do it our time and your time. The biggest vaccination problem, I know about this very well because we had to study it, and I came across a beautiful man called Peter in Belgium, who actually, because he opposed the vaccination with the data and the information he gathered, they went to even they took him to court to say he's mentally demented, and they put him into prison because he opposed and he scientifically was correct. Now we see the data coming from the American government and the Senate. They know it's mercury in it, they know it causes a problem, but the money paid is so heavy that they're forcing it. We need immunization in the correct way. Otherwise, we'll be in the same time of mumps and measles and the rest of it. Man has progressed, but somewhere in between this progress, there is a misconduct in the work. And this is the 3 M's, what they call it. This has to be removed. These 3 vaccines has to be removed, still be given on their own, unless there is a clandestine activities for it. We saw in ransom demand we received last week, part of the ransom, we're going to release this. This has been given to the American government. I have to have time to download all the communication. They say we want to control the humanity to less than 500 million. Then what I say is they pray to the soul of their sons and their family. Don't fight them. Give it to them. They'll see their grandchildren using it. Let's see if it's good. In any case, now that we know what damage is created by this vaccination, we see a process of reversal. Do not allow your children to, as a father, what I see, because we have 2 sons suffering with it, a triple vaccination, especially around the age of 2.5. This injection they're forced to have, this is a killing machine. This should not be given to children. Split it in 3 separate, in a gap of few weeks from each other, yes, is correct. Mixing it with mercury to inject to the body of a child brings problem in the neurosystem of the brain. It takes years to correct it, and even you can't correct it. Do not be afraid of vaccination when you know what it is, the reason it is, and it's a single vaccination. Never accept multiple vaccinations near each other. Let the process go through. The risk is not worth it. But immune your children from what it is. I have objection to it, because as a father, today we are still paying for it, for the misconduct of these people. And they know it. They know it clearly what they are doing, because it's in the Senate. They've known it for a long time. I wonder, how do the children and the grandchildren sleep when they know they received the injection? It affects very effectively around the age of 2 to 3 when they get that injection. It's a process of change for a child, and the injection of mercury goes within the neurosystem. Brings dyslexic, brings ADHD, it brings all sorts of problems which to do with the progress of the brain of the child. And they know they're doing it. Maybe one of the acts of the FDA has to be to abolish the 3 mixture, because it's so damaging. And anybody who has stood by trying to stop it have been put into prison. I don't fight it, because I've already been damaged by it. But we see a solution. Let me tell you what the solution is. If you've been damaged by it, I explained this in a different way in another teaching very recently. This is part of the same process. It's the neuro damage to the brain cell. You can protect yourself from it, or you can, before the injection, put your child through it, that the toxins does not affect. Not after the injection. These toxins, these mercury, as we know, has a strange life. First of all, avoid getting the injection at any cost. I nearly lost my second son because of it. He was on the life support machine in the hospital for 3 days. Immediately after the injection. He's a healthy man now, he's highly educated, but I nearly lost that boy. I went to work, he said goodbye to Papa. I got to work, I received a call. He's in hospital life support machine. He cannot breathe. And it came just a few days after the injection. Now we know what is done. I walked into the room, I could see my son. I left a few hours ago, 2-3 hours before. A happy child. Drips, oxygen mask, and everything else to life to save him. If you have a child who's been touched by this process of immunization, criminality, you have to understand what has been damaged, what you have to recover as fast as possible. This damages a certain connection between the brain cells, which mainly connected with behavior. The behavior connection, which connects to physicality, which means two things. You have to support the emotional support and you have to support the physical support immediately. Zinc oxide and magnesium. You have to bring a connection between the emotion and the brain physicality, which means straight away potassium. You have to bring availability of the seed to produce any cells which have been damaged to be replaced due to rapid regeneration. It means you need calcium. You need to support the process of availability of high level of radioactive materials, that the division of the cell is available to take place, because every second our body uses huge amount of radiation to generate cells, the new skin, the new cell of the heart, everything else continuously. So you have to provide above the need that is available to create the new generation that is needed. It means immediate use, the dosage of folic acid. This is what creates the cell division, the folic acid. I am a great believer in what I understand as a nuclear physicist, in the division of the cell, with the structure of the nuclear material of the body of the man. The mothers stop using folic acid after they give birth. I believe children from the time of birth, because the brain cells are still producing, just because you cut the line from the mother, the brain stops. The children should be supported all the way to the age of 5 to 7 with the right dosage of folic acid as part of their daily diet, which allows the normal growth of this division of cells. We will reach huge advantage for humanity. We'll receive super brains of the century. Because the time we cut up to the time the child is in the womb of the mother receives this through the supplements which are given to the mother. When you cut a line, he's on his own, but he still needs it. The world of physicians should understand this support has to carry on to start to give a rapid growth, allowing the normal division of the cells, especially in the first 3 years of life. Then you need extra dosage of that folic acid, the division cell, because folic acid is B9, is a radioactive material which allows just about the right level of energy that the cell of the body of the man needs in the child stages to divide rapidly to create new cells. So what do? You allow that above what is needed, which is usually double the dosage daily for a beginning when you start handling the cases which are already damaged. Then you need the folic acid is for the brain of the child, because it's a soft. You have to support the physical part. That physical part, amino acid support, has to be of itself. Omega-3 comes in with a factor of EPA, which is specifically for supporting the brain cells in the emotional side. Not ADH, which is on the supporter of the physicality. The beauty of omega-3 is that it supports the brain and it supports the physicality. It supports the emotion, it supports the physicality. That's why omega-3 we take. And nowadays, the world of pharmaceutical or the rest of it create omega-3 which are very heavy on the behavior or they are very heavy on the emotion. EPA is on the emotion side. You see it, you buy a capsule, it tells you EPA or ADH, which is the physical side. ADHD. AD side is attention deficiency covered by APA. The HD side is hyperactivity, which is a physicality. So that's why we use omega-3. It's a protein within a structure of its control feeds both sides. The amino acid emotion of the physicality and the amino acid of the physicality. So omega-3 becomes again, don't forget we need a daily dosage of omega-3 which is recommended. So you need to give an extra to be able to support the repair. In all my teachings, I always explain everything in detail that you understand. Then you come to another position. All the misbehavior, you call it hyperactivity and the rest, comes because of the problem in the brain. The rest is just the end show. You see a lot of children with a lot of these problems, especially when you see in the trains, you go to the schoolyard, you go to playground, I can pinpoint which one has received the injection and when you started. You talk to the mothers and the fathers, yes. Why don't they teach us? It's very simple. In the Keshe Foundation television channels, or what they call teaching channels, which we bring, we continuously teach these things as part of the, because we bring peace to the child, we bring peace to the family. When you have a child which is not affected, or at least you can manage it, the time spent in controlling becomes the time to spend to play, to bring pleasure. So now you understand, everything you do till you bring balance in has to be extra on top, because whatever is normal, the body uses. You don't have no extra to use for the repairs. So what we usually advise is the double dosage, at least for a while, till it comes into order. Using omega-3, depending on the environment you live, is very effective. It's very important. In the warmth area, you don't use omega-3 so heavily. You use it every other day, or in the summertime. In the winter time, you use it every day, but again on the dosage. But whatever I explain to you, go to a physician, go to a doctor and say, this is what I need. Explain what I explain. He understands, he'll support you. One thing else you need with the new technology is the GaNs of zinc oxide, and you need the GaNs of CO2. Because that way you bring balance with the emotional part of the physicality and the emotional part of the brain, and the connection between two. When you drink the CO2, as it passes through your mouth, through your throat, as it transfers energy, it feeds the brain first and then the emotion of the physicality part of the body. So calcium, potassium, magnesium, zinc, and then omega-3, folic acid, which are two nuclear materials included in this. If you have seen physical damage, B12, according to doctor prescription, can be used. Because if the child, you realize, is after the age of 7, 12, you need not only to support with folic acid, you need to bring the factor of B12 in, because now the cell division of the human part body, which is the red tissue muscle, is much stronger. It needs a more powerful radioactive material for division, because it's a stronger bound cells. So you have to take B12. And then you understand, with the new technology, you balance everything in a perfect condition. CO2 and zinc oxide, liquid plasma. You see the changes in the first weeks, and then you allow the brain to repair its damage. There is a way to get rid of mercury from the body and the brain. I will release this knowledge in the coming time, because we see a lot of it with the tooth fillings with the dentist, and we see a lot of it with the use of the chemicals which are not done correctly, especially for those who wear golds and are in touch with gold a lot. Those who understand the technology know what it means. They can't clean the gold totally off the mercury, even they say so. There's still some residual left. And that creates other positions in the body of the man. So, if you have, I told you as a father, you don't want to see your child with the polio, you don't want to see your child with other diseases. Separately, the history has proven to be good. Collectively, these 3 injections have become menace to society, and I've paid with 2 children life. This is our experience, and Caroline can give you a history of it, because we had this battle, we still have this battle every day in our house with these 2 menace injections. You can repair it, and it takes a lot to do, because it takes a lot of confidence from the child. Thank you very much for bringing this up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. Right now in Germany, it's you can choose if you get the vaccination or not. But right now there's a discussion ongoing. They want to force the parents for the injections for the kids. It's not done yet, but they are discussing this new law.
Depends how much bribe they pay into the cabinet and into members of the parliament. You know what happened in the Knesset in Israel? They wanted to introduce Viagra into Israel. So it came to the parliament. the what are called the pressure groups came up with a fantastic idea how to get it through. It'll go like nothing. They took a box of Viagra into the parliament, and they gave it to all. They said each member of parliament take one that you can see what it is when you feel it. A lot of members of parliament took 3 and 4, and they enjoyed the time. They passed it. The bribe didn't come through the pocket. The bribe came through the pleasure of they can use it. They give a lot of bribes to people, and this allows them to pass it through. But there is always, as I said, it's the decision of the parents, because I will not allow our grandchildren ever be injected in that way. We are at the age, sooner or later, Carol and I will become grandparents, and I advise my children, even though they're all scientists in chemistry and the rest, that this should not be done. I don't want to see the repeat of it with our house, in our house again. And it's not to rejecting it, it's to accepting it, but in the way which pleases me. In so many ways, there are ways to do it. And in the nations which they force, you can go to another country for a few days, get the injection singularly, and go back. You have the document, the child has been injected. You don't break the law because it's already been received. But in individual dosages. You can organize it. I know it can be done. Some parents do it. They force you, you have to have the 3. The forcing is if they didn't have. You can go to the country, you can organize it pre-going to the country with agencies or with the hospitals that they have the material, they know you're going for injection. They receive it, you stay there 2 weeks, and in a period of 2 weeks they receive all individual injections. And you have a certificate, my child is already immunized. We need to protect our children, but we have to protect them in the hand of these evil acts too. Then you haven't broken the law because you have it in paper if it's not given. The 3 are problem. Those, look what they give you on the statistics, which one they are, which companies. Some of the companies are making fake materials. So you have to know the brand, who you're dealing with, educate yourself, and if your doctor doesn't give it, there is always a jet plane, life of a child worth more than a few €100. There's a way to go about it, there's a way to do it, and there are doctors who prepare to do it. And they are trying to force, no, it will not be available, but it's always available, because in certain countries you need only one single injection of it, you don't need all three of them. So you can get it. But don't leave your child unprotected, it's not correct. But at the same time, protect your children from the hand of the, what I call a stock exchange, because these companies have to show profit. The day we close the stock exchange markets to the pharmaceutical is the time when the man starts conducting itself correctly. There should be no shares for pharmaceuticals in the market. Any other points you want to raise?
Speaking of points and needles and so on, there's another issue about, Ralph asks, how to soothe the soul of a mosquito. He says some of them transfer viruses like the dengue and the Zika virus and so on. And he says he knows they need the blood of a man, but can we protect ourselves successfully with GANs or some other way? Or is it the way to protect us, or some other way to protect us from viruses with drinking GANs water?
We do that in Africa quite effectively up to now. And on a regular basis, we take CO2 and zinc oxide. Sometimes, very, very rarely, a few drops of copper oxide. GANs, liquid GANs plasma. I do it regular basis. We don't take anti-mosquitoes, anti-malarias and the rest of it. Because the water we take, it creates an environment in our body that that kind of thing does not come. Even we get bitten, maybe in past 25 years I've been here in Africa, 30 years, I've been bitten about 5 or 10 times, and all the time has happened here in Ghana. Never been bitten anywhere in Africa for 20 odd years. And we take the CO2 because the environment here is different than the other parts. Very strange condition here. But we take CO2, sometimes I wash my hand, my body with CO2 and zinc oxide. I change the environment of my body that it doesn't apply to it. If it needs it, it has animals which it can live on, not mine. I don't kill it. I change its environment with respect to me. My soul is not happy to receive. And I elevate that position, which I elevate my soul. I do that a lot. A lot of you get a lot of these things coming to you. You go to these countries like this kind of condition. You're happy to take all sorts of materials you take. But after you stay a long time, as a tourist it's okay. But when you stay a lifetime, you have to change the environment of your body that it doesn't become recipient of it. When you come low in the strength of the emotion, you allow them to come to you. And we have had some rough times here in the past few weeks, so that is why. And I try to use CO2 and zinc oxide to change my environment, that I don't need to do anything with others. Even if they touch you because you have taken the material, it goes. If you get beaten, you're a tourist, by a mosquito, the best thing to use to spray the anti-mosquito directly on it. It kills it there and there, whatever is inside the blood. The spray anti-mosquito is the best thing to use on this bite. But if you change your environment of your body, they don't come to you. They come to you when you're emotionally weak. And it comes out of lack of energy. So they see it because you're at the strength they need to strengthen themselves.
It's true. If you're in the bush, say in northern Canada, and you get frustrated and angry at the bugs and black flies and mosquitoes, and just try to fight them, then you're in big trouble, because the anger, they'll come right at you and be attracted to that.
that.
And the more frustrated you get, the more you get bitten.
Yeah, I think I experienced that in Canada, in the Oreille Lake. I stayed there for a few days in one of the islands. And just as we were coming out, I thought for 3-4 days I've been here, no aftershave, that I don't attract any mosquitoes. Shaved, just trying to get on the boat. My body was solid. I got beaten so much I could feel the whole muscles hard. Then I knew how much mosquitoes you have in Canada. But unfortunately, they're not what do you call it, malaria. But we attract them because we change the condition of our body.
I think there'll be a big outbreak here in Canada because of the flooding. There's been a lot of flooding in the last few weeks here, and it's totally never seen so much flooding as what's been happening lately. So that'll probably bring a lot of mosquitoes.
Do we have Jim in the background from the educational team? If he has anything to share with us.
Let's see here.
Mr. Kasim, in the moment, can I ask a question, please?
Can we have Jim in first, please? Because that's for all of us. 1 second. Jim, is there anything you want to share with us from the educational side?
Yeah, I just want to give a bit of feedback on what we've been up to. So if I can share the screen, thank you.
I go quiet on my voice box.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. All right, so just a bit of an update on what we've been doing. Just some of the past week, what we've been doing in the private English teachings. We've had 2 focused workshops presented by Mario. It's a very new way of understanding the elements of the periodic table, the way he presented it. And I think he's taken 2 weeks to try and explain it to us. And I think half of us have got it, another half haven't. But it's a very fascinating approach, and we'll be trying to get some clarity on that in the next couple of days. We've also had His Excellency Alex joined us from Africa, and he gave us a rundown on some of the projects and development that he's been working on. And we all found that very, very interesting. And we'll be trying to get some more information from Alex over the next couple of weeks as well. And then John from Arizona gave us a talk on the opening of the fields the other day. And Caroline also gave us a fantastic talk on the ethics of plasma and how that affects us all. And we're busy putting together a little presentation on that, which should be available for next week to present to everybody. And a lot of the students, we've all been working on building up the basic syllabus, and these will be released as and when they are finished. And it's been quite an interesting exercise going through all the basics again, because we tend to forget all the sort of essential parts of this plasma. So it's been a very worthwhile exercise going through all the basics just to refresh for a lot of us. And what's coming up in the next few days and next week is Kevin Blundell will be talking to the students about how they can market KF products through Keshe Foundation distributors worldwide. So we'll have a better understanding of all that. And an interesting one coming up next week is also His Excellency Dr. Rodrigo will be showing his method of creating tritium in his spinning reactors. So this should be a very interesting one for a lot of us coming up, because it'll have many applications. And Armin will also be joining us for a session where we'll allow a lot of the students to ask all the questions that they've been dying to ask and trying to get some answers on. So I think Armin will have his hands full next week. And then we'll also have two gentlemen joining us from China, and they will be explaining how they are using plasma in the traditional Chinese medicine and how they're incorporating it. So we do encourage a lot of students who wish to join up. We're doing a lot of new and exciting programs. So we do encourage students to join. It's only €100 for the year, and get a lot of information that comes through. And also just to reiterate that there are a lot of current public workshops that are going on around the world. As you can see, from Monday to Sunday, there's a public workshop. What I've highlighted here today is just the ones in the different languages. So we can see we go from Romanian to German to French to Chinese to Japanese and Spanish. So we have to commend all the teachers in the different languages who are doing a tremendous job in these public workshops, and there's also the private workshops in all the different languages.
Hi, Jim. There's a little mistake. The public teaching of Chinese should be held on Saturday, not Friday.
My apologies. I will change that. Thank you.
I just mentioned that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, so that's all I have for this week. So we do try and encourage more students to join us. We do have a lot of fun in the background. Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you very much, indeed. The process is that we will broadcast advertising from now on, especially on our other channels for our products for the Keshe Foundation manufacturers and the rest. Like Keshe Foundation Arizona has released new products, and what it does, and you can go there and buy from them. There is something which we are encouraging. We are encouraging heavily. Those of you who make Keshe Foundation products, coils, patches, all sorts of games and toys and quilt covers and the rest of it, contact Keshe Foundation in Webmaster. Those of you which your material does not need certification, or you have received certification in your part of the world, or it's so you make things as components that they have to put together, is a DIY kit, and you have put your time and effort in making it and it's correct, we promote your products from now on. Maybe you have one item, or you made a candle, or you made a soap, or you made a beautiful vase with, or painting. In your website, or if you have a website, you might get 50, 100 hits. Keshe Foundation hits sums into millions. It gives you a new, you see those are the new products which have to have certification that we allow it to go on. These are the products we are looking to increase. Our people who are living through it can produce it. You have to realize, we promote it, We allow it to be promoted according to where it is, where it goes, and what we can support. The pages will increase quite rapidly in products. We allow you to, we support you to create a market and a kind of style life to serve, and at the same time you can be supported. Our shop material increasing quite drastically. Arizona is in, we are in, Ghana is coming in next week. We have received certifications for materials. All this will be supported. Is not anymore little littles, is building up. So what we were trying, what we do is, if you produce materials and you sell a few pieces in your shop or with you, bring it to the foundation. We see it, we support you. We see it, we promote it. We put all our parameters into it, and you will see a change. We have done this with different type of structures, and it works. It gives you huge possibilities. Gradually we make this to the shop. You got to realize there are a lot of people trying to do these things. We know there are people who are trying to make websites for all the plasma products. But when you put Keshe Foundation, you come to the house where it is the origin of it is, and a lot of people come here. We allowed a lot of people to sell a lot of our products, but now we support them. We support them heavily, and we allow them to work within it, within the structure of it. It's not a competition, now is collaboration. We've seen this section of the health section, which the systems built by Keshe Foundation Austria is coming into the release in the coming time. The medical units. The Keshe Foundation manufacturing has moved to the south of Italy. The move is more or less complete. The truck was arrived yesterday. So what the gap we had in past 5 or 6 months, and a lot of you stuck by us and you supported us, in next couple of weeks all the backlogged orders will start going out, because now we took over the factory altogether. It's under full control of the Keshe Foundation. Now there are facilities to be made for those Italians who want to go to teaching lessons or conferences. We brought the Keshe Foundation and the manufacturing together in one building, a small lecture room, not very big, but you can actually go to lectures given by Italians in south of Italy very soon, in the next few weeks when it's completed. They've just been setting it up yesterday. We have today, as I speak now, the first modules has arrived on the territory of Ghana. Today we received 3 of them. The teaching of the module starts on Saturday. There are what we call, we're waiting for the numbers we have chosen to arrive in total together. And the process of the developing, training the first modules is on full go. I have a habit, I don't like to teach in the classrooms. One-to-one teaching in this level, because we don't need to be in public, will be done across Accra, because they have to feel the nation, they have to feel the environment. The process will carry on for 6 weeks, and then this week when it starts, end of next week and the beginning of the following week, Alex is with us here in Ghana. Benjamin is here. We use John in US to come in. The following week, Armin is here. He arrives early June and he stays with us the whole course of the month of June. The training is very concentrated in a way to understand the process. We try to make recording of the teaching, but with these kind of private teachings, we don't usually hold recording, because it's the way we teach. Those who've been with us before, they know. We try to keep the identity of the students, the modules, totally confidential. But as we speak, the first one has landed here just about now. We expect the balance to come in by Saturday night. There will be the number of people we require, which has been accepted. And we start teaching. The teaching process is to make these scientists to become on the edge of science, that by the time they finish in November, they can produce, they can understand how to control the conditions they like. There is no physicality in the matter of doing it. We try to teach in a different way, the way it's done throughout the universe. It's a very radical, but a few days when Alex, Benjamin and Armand, they participate, we try to bring a balance that they can see both sides. The whole process of education is to enlighten. Once we can start, we will reach the next step. All those who are doing workshops, we see a lot of what I call misconduct. Please bring your teachings in line with the Keshe Foundation work. We have stopped supporting the Hand for Peace because we've seen a lot of misconducts. I have instructed that they cannot be supported because there is a huge amount of misconduct and people who abuse the system. We have withdrawn our support from Hand for Peace. They have been removed. I've asked them to be removed from the Keshe Foundation website. The others who want to do workshops, just enter. Now there is a place, Jim has shown you, enter your workshops there, and then you can see where is the workshop. They'll be announced. Whether you do private teaching, private workshops, we support you. But please do not abuse. If you receive any abuse of our name for your benefit, we go open with it. It's you who loses. And we've seen people stop going to the classes, stop supporting. Because they listen, they understand. You tell them you're a Keshe Foundation, they come on these teachings, they hear your position, misconduct, they will withdraw. And we've seen one of the Keshe Foundation, some supporters heavily hit by it because of not doing it the right way. We support you to teach peace. We start teaching you the space technology in the essence of the space. And then please support your soul. That's where you come. When you elevate your soul, you can teach more. Keshe Foundation, Ghana, the Spaceship Center, needs huge financial support. We request for donation for the center. You can pay to the Keshe Foundation direct and say, this is what I'm paying for. We are talking about millions. We are not talking about a few pennies. Keshe Foundation, Italy has its own PayPal, only accepts certain things which is connected to us. Keshe Foundation United States with this PayPal will do the same, and other organizations. You can go to Keshe Foundation and donate through the PayPal to us or to anywhere else. We've been told the Chinese PayPal is holding huge amount of money which has been sent to Keshe Foundation. Please get in touch with the people, key people you know. There are channels to transfer funds to the Keshe Foundation worldwide. You know the key people in the Keshe Foundation organization. Those who are intermediary between us, we announce them. Our representative in Chinese will announce these people who are trustees of the foundation, very few. We'll announce it to them, and you transfer funds to them, and they will transfer it back to the Keshe Foundation till we sort out the situation with PayPal. We understand how the PayPal has come about. There is something which you will understand in the coming days. We prefer to keep this under the cover till we've fully taken our steps in respect to these things of behaviors, because then it's in a correct manner. We need to literally completing the building is to put lighting in it, is to put tables in it, is to put computers in it, is to put the latest instruments that we can work. And we request for funds for this. The Keshe Foundation manufacturing will support as much as possible. We have been supporting the foundation in every way, from the Italian Keshe Foundation manufacturing, from the other places and others. If you do the teachings, do it, teach it, the donation will go so much, and show people what you have donated from what you've collected, that there is no mistrust. There is no, they are collecting in the name of the foundation, putting in their pocket. We know a lot of people are doing it. I always say, you must need if you steal. And then you pay through the soul. That's your problem, that's not mine, that's not the foundation. We've seen a lot of people are raising a lot of money through the educational side from teachings, and all get pocketed. I would like to see what is the future for those. That's theirs and themselves. Please work towards one thing. Bring the foundation to be the cornerstone of peace movement through technology. That's what we say. Knowledge in exchange for peace. If you know there are members of organizations in army or whatever, let them come in touch with you. Let the beauty of the technology touches their souls. They open the armies for you. This is what we are doing in Ghana. This is what a lot of people are doing around the world. We need massive injection of support on teaching, on network, on transcription, on opening and running the factories of the Keshe Foundation, and the rest. We are not in this position just because we had a few teaching. There are millions. The Keshe Foundation supporting runs into tens of millions. Is now to bring home, in a way, the totality for all of us. We got to do it because there won't be another chance for human race if we miss this one for a long time to come, and there is nothing can come more than fundamentally touching every aspect of life. I thank the new management style in education, the new management style in manufacturing, which is coming up. You will see a lot of it. We've seen it. Everything is on the table that we learn. We teach you at the same time as remedying the questions and answering a lot of things which you do not know. But you come here, go with the knowledge that what we teach you is for the peace of mankind. As I said to Caroline, I have accepted one mission in exchange for my physicality, and that's peace on this planet. We got to accept there is a time for a change. And change doesn't come by marching physically. We can march through our souls now that we have become more intelligent and understand the root of it. Let us march to bring equality amongst men. When we have no king, when we have no leaders except who we choose to look after the affairs of our time in the area we live, then there will be more chances of peace. Any other points?
There's plenty more, I guess, Mr. Keshe, but there is one person that's had a question for several workshops now. I'd like to sort of get it asked for them.
We answer if we please, as you do.
Yes, yes. It's from Anuj Sheth, who says, whenever I use a plasmatic unit, even for 5 minutes, I get the feeling of dizziness and strong cleansing reaction, and it seems my body can't adjust to the raising of frequency due to the plasma. Currently my friends that are knowledge seekers are assisting me in the healing process with plasma devices. I can't get a doctor that will help me with the plasma text that is required by the Keshe Foundation, so I'm asking here, by way of the workshop to know if I'm doing something wrong or if it's all just a cleansing process. I don't know whether you want to answer that.
Mean?
Well, I guess the key point is that when they use this unit for 5 minutes, they get a feeling of dizziness and a strong cleansing reaction. And it seems like that, well, they're getting a strong reaction from whatever kind of plasmatic unit that they're using. I'm not sure what kind of unit it is. I was just trying to respond back to them that what kind of plasmatic unit is it? Who are the people that are helping you, and did they build the unit, and do they take responsibility for the results of their unit, and so on. So if they're not working under a doctor, then it's kind of hard to just give advice over the internet and so on. I know you don't like to get involved with that in a way.
No, I prefer not to go there, please.
Yeah. Okay, so if they can maybe reword the question in a way that doesn't require that kind of answer, maybe it'd be better. Okay, let's move along. There was well, Maria of Germany is interested in stopping things such as when will the electromagnetic weapons on the Earth and outside the Earth, which are directed towards humanity, be destroyed? She's worried about
it goes back
waves.
to the position. It goes back to the position. Can I speak about this, please? It goes back to the position. Why do we want to destroy them? If we destroy them, they make more. Let's elevate the soul of the man that he doesn't think about the world, so if they don't make any more. Let the world leaders understand they are responsible for the soul of those who they have damaged. Then you understand. Let them understand the whole structure, that fighting is a waste of time. Let us elevate the soul of the soldiers, that they don't need to fight, they don't need to do these kind of things. The whole process is the reality of taking it in direct, what do you call it? Indirect challenge to those who believe the war is the only solution, because they make money out of it. Destroying it will not pay, but elevating the soul, nobody carries a gun. I saw this years ago in one of our organizations. I've talked about this before because it has a lot of meaning for those who understand. And that is, we used to have retail organization, and the head of retail refused to buy a knife. I could not convince him to buy a knife. I did everything possible. We're selling forks, knives, and spoons, but he wouldn't sell knife. And he can't do it. He can't sell as a retail chain, no knife. So we decided we don't sell cutlery, because that was the easiest way around. I said to him many times, and he was very convinced. He said, you know something? I bought knives for a shop. Somebody bought a knife from one of our shops, and he went home and did damage by murdering or whatever. I saw myself responsible for putting that knife in that shop. I'm not buying it. Let us lose money, but I don't want to have my soul in it. He was an old man. I used to kiss him on his chin and said, I understand. And every now and then, I used to have this discussion with him. He knew I understood, but the resolute of the man don't want to be part of it is amazing. Let the people feel why. And don't harass, but elevate. The biggest problem at the moment is arms has become means of employment, nothing else, because otherwise nations will be full of unemployment. The Belgian government, 40% of national incomes comes through arms, defense they call it. So now you put 40% of a nation on the street. National income. They will do anything to keep, because nations cannot. We have to be able to find a way to feed the nation, that through it we achieve perfection of the soul. There's no use creating a position. When you understand the wishes of the soul, when you want peace, it happens. We wanted peace in many occasions. We got involved with it. And we see it because we go with the pure soul. We receive it, we achieve it. We have to be open to understand the reason, and then finding the reason. As I said, when you want a king to move, you have to support the soul of the nation. You want to stop the arms, you have to find methods that we can feed the nation, we can give the nation what they need. Then they let the arms go. But on the other hand, a lot of people walk out, the government cannot support, but it finds another way in different name. It's a huge, huge, profitable money-making machine. Go back to the Senate. I was talking about this very recently. Go back to the Senate. A few years ago, when the rough time fell on the American government, they started scrutinizing everything. Everything they could find to cut the budget. They came across one of the major aircraft industry suppliers to American military. In the inventory of invoices, they found something very interesting. A screw, something like $1,500. One of the members asked, what type of screw is this? Can we see it? They brought it with all this vacuum pack and everything. They took it out, they went on the street, they bought the same one for less than a cent. They gave it back to the manufacturers. The supplier says, you can have your pen back. Can you check it to see what we've done? No, it's perfectly, it's exactly what we gave you. They said, this is not yours. ARM makes a lot of profit. 1 cent to $1,500. It's us as a human race who have put no value on our souls. Now we know it's worth everything more than physicality. Let's change the game. Destroying the arms is no good. They want to help. Making it obsolete by new technology does. How many of you have been on castles and cities? Somebody's microphone is open. How many times have you been on these castles with these old cannons still there? The new technology made them obsolete. That's what we got to do. We got to bring a new technology that it makes it obsolete. All the warheads, all the latest aircraft industry can be stopped. Arman asked me to teach the defense. or sorry, Alex asked me to teach the defense. Let's stop all the wars. Do you want to learn how to stop the wars? Do you want to stop the whole structure of the weapon technology? Do you want to stop the main line of communication between the ships and the motherships? Do you want to stop the whole weapon technology in its track? Make the guns of the gunpowder. Make the guns of microchip. But be careful you don't damage your telephones. Make guns of what is the part of the rocket, aircraft, boats, whatever is military, and run it in the right order. What will happen? You deplete the structure. Craft with a hole cannot fly. If you are very good at it, high definition, resolution, field strength, you can convert the plastic of carbon content to as a insulator, to a super insulator or a conductor. So the whole circuitry collapses. You have to test and educate yourself. Spare a few telephones and run them and see which one stops. But be careful you don't damage yours. But you have to find specifically certain things which is specific with one thing. You know, when you're looking for a topic, you go into the, what do you call it, internet, and you just put a sentence, a specific sentence, and it comes up wherever it is. You have to become expert in that. They can't fly a plane, they can't do a ship, and the Russians have done it in Alaska recently to the Americans, and they've done it in the Black Sea last couple of years ago, and we've seen it is done more and more. The warheads in North Korea is unstoppable in no time. No time. All you need to do, you don't have to worry. It's what we told to the South Koreans recently. Just we show you how the rockets will never launch because the microchip in it doesn't work. You don't need to worry about it if it explodes, because never the chain of the command to warhead will never come into operation. Use the soil of the land, you'll achieve the same. You can bond a system to the land where it is. It will not move. We can go full blast. The warhead will explode in its own silo. You don't need to do anything. You can create magnetic field covers that from anywhere, anything within a certain structure cannot go through. It's very easy. You can paralyze world military. Keshe Foundation supporters can do in a flick of a finger across the world. But the thing is, what are we going to do with all this unemployment and the terrorists and other people who see a gap in the place to be abusing it? Shouldn't we strengthen the arms of the police? Armies without borders for protection of the nation. When we are one nation, it'll be all of us. It takes time, we're on course. We have shown it with the capture of the American planes and the other things. The technology is here. But what are we going to replace, and how fast we're going to replace, how fast we're going to stop? I don't see any reason for North Korea possessing nuclear warhead. We don't need it. Unless it's tool of fear. So, we have no fear. My recommendation to the Chinese government has been, to the Tokyo has been, to the South Korean has been, let us deliver you the technology that doesn't matter, they can press buttons as much as they like. Even they can launch it in the space above their own area. The minute it comes, it explodes. the president will see his own demise. The technologies are available to us to stop the guns, but we cannot stop order. There has to be an order, and people around have to listen to learn to be ordered. This is part of the totality which is in the hand of the Universal Council and their Council. We have the knowledge. We've shown it with Iran, we've shown it with the Russians. You think we can't show it to the North Koreans, or to the Chinese, or to the South Koreans? If I receive requests from the Chinese government that they want the whole nuclear structure across the world to be muffled, give me a few days, and I only listen to the President of China. That's my only condition. Because they can enforce the whole peace, but there is no need for nuclear action. There is a way. I'm a nuclear physicist, and I know there is a chain which needs to be touched. Nobody even needs to worry about dismantling nuclear warheads. How many we agree to do? We dismantle the whole thing in one go. We make them ineffective. Let them dismantle it. At least it creates some job. We can stop all the nuclear submarines in the bed of the seas. Never to be seen. Then we give them a chance. Bring up, release your staff that no soul is harmed. We disarm, on birth, in the port. The knowledge is there. It's not a fairy tale anymore. It can be used effectively. World peace is in our hand. We can dictate the position. So many times it's gone through my head, but so many times I think it's the mankind who has to make that move, not for me. I am a nuclear physicist, I'm very good at it. I'm a plasma technologist, I'm very good at it. I can stop the whole lot of the nuclear warheads being in Tel Aviv. I don't think we have it in Iran as far as the government can tell me. China, North Korea, which is sold by Belgium too, betraying NATO. Now you know why Mr. Trump is going to NATO and seeing the King of Belgium. Goodbye, you sold nuclear technology to Koreans. Now the secret is out of the bag, as we see it on the internet. Then it comes out to the totality of world peace. Now every nation is equal. There's no more nuclear warhead. How much more we want to create to kill each other? Then we find a solution. There are no militaries across the states of United States, 50 of them covering half of a continent in one way. There are no military borders and armies across Europe. There should be none in Africa and none in Asia. So why are we keeping military when there is no need for it? How come a nation which is in the middle of the most peaceful part of the world called Belgium has to have 40% of its income from military to kill? Shall we send it back to themselves to see what they do with it? Or silence their system? I say, elevate the soul. Then you don't need to look for guns under the blanket. Or should we have to create immunity for world leaders for their factories, and we give them a process of time how to revert it, bring the people with the man of peace how to can convert these factories to another tools? Don't think of how to stop it. Think of elevating is easier, because then your soul works much easier.
Mr. Keshe, there's a person from Germany, Dirk, that has a political solution, and he'd like to start a political party based on some of your ideas, and he wanted to discuss that a bit. Would that be acceptable?
We leave the politics to the politicians.
That's what I thought you might answer.
We've had many approaches from many political parties and organizations that we support you. I said, you support me to use my technology for you to come in power. And I cannot do the foundation change it. This is not mine, it's for humanity to decide. We are not a political party, we are a scientific organization which has the tools to do a lot of changes and projects. We see a lot of people coming up regarding the processes which we are introducing, trying to come up because they do it the wrong way, and then they go public with it, and so by the time they go that they've made it the wrong way or done something wrong, it's too late. So we don't promote anything. Unless we do research ourselves and confirm it, we go to the next step. As you've seen, we withdrew all the Japanese trial immediately once we found out partially could be tampered with, but we have other technology scientific research which backs it up to be correct. It's the understanding and openness which saves us from a lot of problems. And we have made diplomatic moves which will change the course of the politics, and we'll talk about it. I see knowledge has to be the point of change, and knowledge has to be the point of strength. And we go that path. We don't need to become a political, unless how many movements have we had? Let's change the political party to soul party and reach the soul of those who we need. I asked for all the Keshe Foundation supporters. My wish is the end of the kingship. And I've taken my plea to the Universal Council. It's for them to support it or to reject it, but it's the totality of the council, they have to decide. I see a lot of problems, but one at a time. Shall we call it the day? Is it the right time?
Mr. Kash, one question please before you go.
Yes?
It's me, Jalal from Iraq. Good day, sir.
Good day.
If I bring nano-coated copper and zinc plate and I separate them, let's say in a far distance, and I use the communication between them, I spray them in from one let's say zinc liquid plasma, both of them, they will have this communication between them, and if they make this condition what we are making in the CO2 kit.
I don't understand what you're trying to tell me.
Okay. Remember you said I put this CO2 kit and I put the salt and the water to you to see the fields inside. If I do it without water and salt, I use the atmospheric, and I separate these two plates, one from the each, let's say distance, kilometers or so, like this, and I use the connection between them, liquid plasma from the same source. Are they creating the same condition what we are making the CO2 kit?
Can you repeat that? I'm lost with you.
I'm sorry. Okay. You are making the CO2 kit, yes? With
yes.
Nano-coated copper and zinc plate, let's say.
Yeah.
And you are using the salt water to make the condition.
Yeah.
Okay. If I took this nano-coated copper and the zinc plate and I separate them, let's say 1 kilometer between them, the line of communication between them, between the two plates, if I use liquid plasma, I spray both of them in the same way from the same liquid plasma what I'm using. are they connected to each other, and are they creating this condition what we are making in the CO2 kit?
Yes, it does. But the thing is, first of all, you don't see it, and because of the strength of the connection, you only make those of the given strength which can exist between the gap between two. Yes, that means, of course, it's not line of communication, it's a connection of the field.
Yeah, I mean, the connection in the
It
fields.
is you, between the two, you create a different environment, but not necessarily you get a CO2, but the field flow is there. But if somewhere in the part between the two, there is a field existence between the two, equal to copper or zinc or CO2, it'll be produced. It'll be extracted as a matter state if it is in that environment.
You mean the connector between them?
Of course, this is what I was trying to tell. I'm trying to push Peter, and he's escaping from it, to start bringing back his rotating balls and show us how he makes material.
Okay.
So,
and I have
no more questions. We have to end it because we're on a deadline here, but just a couple minutes left before our publication time's over here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Mr. Kesh.
Save it for next week.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all of you. We try to make all the teachings more interactive unless there is a specific way to teach. Please listen to the broadcasts which are coming up in coming days across the world with Keshe Foundation. We are here to bring a change, and we need the support to do it. The support can come in any shape or form. You can support us in advertising, you can support us in promotion, you can advertise, you can support us in website development, you can support us in transcription, you can support us financially, that the foundation can deliver its course. We thank you for supporting it, but you're supporting the humanity which makes life for you comfortable and pleasurable on this planet. Thank you very much for today. A number of interviews is lined up for next few days and weeks, because mass coverage starts from tomorrow morning, and we will see the change. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, and people can watch on the usual Facebook and other sites for information and news on that, and news about the new news site.
I've just been sent something. It says Keshe Foundation is live now. 17,803 people have been reached in one channel.
Very good. Is that in Facebook or YouTube?
I don't know.
Perhaps?
It's just been sent to me. Yeah, it's just a screenshot of it. It says 44 comments.
Facebook, Flint says, yes.
2,000 reviews. So we are reaching a lot of people, and the message is peace. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Keshe, and that'll be the end of the 172nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 18th, 2017. And as always, thank you everybody for attending, and volunteer for the Keshe Foundation to help out this cause. All right, I'll end the live stream for now.